Alrighty. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Birds the Word, brought to you by Old City Sports Network. Check us out on Twitter at Birds the Word 57. Also, check out all our individual Twitter handles underneath our pictures on the screen there. Be sure to also check out Old City Sports at OLDE_sports. Also, be sure to check us out on Facebook. Check out all the other shows that we have on the network. A lot of good shows out there. New Living Room show was a pretty big hit, and I think it's going to be a good one going forward. Fellas, well, fuck, is all I can say. Pretty fucking abysmal. So, the Eagles lose to the San Francisco 49ers, 42-19. And all I can say is, wow. Yeah, we'll go around the horn. Just get your guys' initial thoughts. This was not an easy one to watch by any stretch of the imagination. So, what you guys got?
Everything good.
You know, you guys probably know by now I have a son because I've referenced him about every chance I get. He's my pride and joy. And I'll tell you, I pride myself on kind of talking him through stuff and saying, look for the goodness and look for the good, sides of things, right? And you guys, you've been around me enough now where I'll find the optimistic edge on just about whatever.
Right.
There, and if you just look deep enough, there isn't a hole or pit deep enough, a rope long enough for me to hang myself with the box score of this game. There were some calls that didn't go our way, but we could have lost this game handily if every call went our way. And even looking through, some of the stuff, it was just hard to say where we were falling down worse. There really isn't a lot of optimistic parts of this, depending on how we, look at it. I will say there's precedent for a team going to the Super Bowl losing games like this. There's plenty of teams like, most recently, memory, obviously, our Super Bowl winning Eagles, went and did it. Philly special is probably on this side. There's many other teams like the 49ers who went on to win the Super Bowl and the Eagles throttled them like 40-3 or 40-10. Kind of a specifically exact example, but many teams drop games like this and it happens. What I will say is Brandon Graham put it best, which is I'm glad this happened because we've been getting by with some stuff and I love this team, et cetera, et cetera. This is a chance for us to kind of regroup. And this is the chance for the Eagles to regroup. That's the only good thing about it is that every time we lose a game, Howie goes out and tries to correct it with free agent additions. He normally does correct it. But it just takes me back. It just takes me back to going in the off season. We started our first 2 or 3 shows, and all of us agreed we're like, linebacker's a problem. It's still a problem. It's all untested. The second safety is a problem, right? And at some point, we're going to have to stop hoping that all pros get released in the middle of the season to solve the linebacking issues. I mean, I like a bargain as much as any guy, but my around the horn take is we got our butts whooped. The sky is not falling, but if we don't fix some very obvious bad things, specifically play calling, linebacking, tackling, we're going to have a real issue going forward.
What you got, Paul?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Like you said, with BG saying that he's glad that it happened because they've been scraping by, as we've mentioned, the last 4 weeks we've been talking about it. And coming out and the way that this game started, driving down the field, no problem. Jalen getting the ball out of his hands quickly, making good decisions, getting guys, running with the ball after the catch. AJ catching a 6-yard slant, taking it 35 more yards, going down. And then it's all of a sudden we forget how to play football inside of the 20-yard line. I don't understand it. So we come away with 3. Like, all right, come back out. Defense plays amazing. 3 and out. They're in Purdy's face. They're hitting him. They didn't even try running the football, and he is throwing the ball all over the field. Not close. Come back down again. Drive right down the football field. No problem. No problem moving the football. And then inside the 20, forget how to play fucking football again. And I don't understand it. And as soon as we kick that second field goal, I'm like, if they score here on this second, drive or third drive, and it's 7-6, it's so demoralizing because the defense is doing they're doing all they can. They're about the only ones who came out to play for the first three series. They were flying around. Hassan looked like a man on fire. About the only one that looked like he wanted to play football even a little bit. But then that quickly died out. I've never seen a bunch of people who had all this poster board material from all season, said they've been looking for this, just lay down like dogs by a fireplace and just cowering in a corner and just absolutely got their ass whooped from then on. Like it was embarrassing to watch. And I'm just like, I can't turn this off because this is my team, and win or lose, I'm going to watch them the whole way through. But I'm like, well, goddamn, like this is fucking ridiculous. They don't look like they want to be out there playing football whatsoever. And the Niners just snatched their soul from them. And then I thought after Devontae Smith hit out of bounds and, the big Dom situation, I was like, all right, we're going to get a fire lit up under our ass. We're going to get it going. Nothing. Like, just absolutely nothing. Jalen Hurts holding the ball back there has all day to throw the fucking football. I mean, you couldn't ask for any more time to throw. And he is just Carson Wentzing the shit out of this thing and looking for a 90-yard bomb every time. And I'm like, there's no way these guys are running for 6 seconds and they're not open. It is mathematically impossible. You just don't want to throw the football. You don't want to take a chance. You don't want to do anything. And then I also blame Brian Johnson as you had a set out in the first 2 drives where you're getting the ball into his hands quickly and letting your playmakers make plays. And then it's like, you know what? That worked so well. We're going to fucking stop. We're just going to stop it all. We're going to stop what was working. We're going to have running backs at 8 carries in the entire fucking football game. Like, it drives me insane of how this guy has a job, and then they're saying that he's a top candidate for a fucking head coaching job. I hope he is. I hope he is. They can have the fucking popcorn vendor call plays better than this fucking clown does. And I've been trying to give him his grace with how well they've been playing because they've been putting points up on the board, but he's been scraping by with the talent on offense and not his actual play calling. Like, it's insane. I feel like the second half of the games, Jalen Hurts just takes the ball in his hands and like, I'm just going to call whatever play I see at the line. I'm going to go from here because this shit's not working with fucking bubble screen after screen after doing this. It blows my mind. And then the defense just absolutely ran over. Didn't want to tackle a single person, it looked like. You have Kevin Byard waiting 30 yards down the field for to come meet him instead of stepping up and trying to do it, and then try to arm tackle the man up by the shoulders and just get fucking obliterated. Like, I don't know what they think was going to happen. And Debo running straight down the field, looking like fucking Tyreek Hill outrunning everybody around him. It absolutely blows my mind. And I know it says that Bradbury played well with no catches and no yards. Slay had leading tackle and doing all this. Like, they just looked so bad. And then the audacity that Slay has to get on Twitter and go after Seth Joyner for calling him out is like, it's fucking blasphemy. Like, you just got your ass whooped by almost 30 points. And the first thing you do is to jump on Twitter to see who's talking shit about you. You just got your ass whooped.
Right.
By somebody who talks shit this entire offseason. And I don't get it. Like, nobody manned up to take this spot over.
No, it definitely
you stepped up on the playground, and that's what happened. And then you ran with your tail between your legs.
Right.
It's
so a couple people checking in with us. Quincy says, I hope the Eagles win next time they play. Got another tough one coming up. It's that fourth leg of the gauntlet against the Cowboys. So we'll see. We'll probably touch on that here in a little bit, Quincy. Give you some. Harrison Phelps checks in, says that guy fucking nailed it. Took the words right out of my mouth. He posted that right around the time that you were talking, Matt. So I think he was agreeing with a lot of what you were saying. Nikki again checks in. Mom says they will. Sometimes it just takes a little reminder. Yeah, I mean, I think this was that one. We are not, we are not untouchable. Not saying that we've ever broadcasted that we were. We're not riding that high horse like most Cowboys fans are, where they think they're God's gift to football at the moment. But
they came out of the woodwork Sunday. Like
Yeah.
the light turned off and they all came crawling out. I just want to say after my rant there, I don't think the sky's falling. This is a very, very talented football team, and I still think they are one of the 3 best teams in the NFL, hands down.
Yeah.
But they got to look in the mirror hardcore about it.
Check down Merchant.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
And then he said the bald guy, which that doesn't narrow it down because all of us are fucking dude.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have to pick one.
You weren't specific enough, unfortunately.
Yeah.
You should have said the handsome bald guy, and then everyone would know.
Yeah.
Who it was. I mean, like the check down Merchant, though, like I just want to touch on that real quick because that's exactly how I feel Brock Purdy is. Listen, they're winning, and I'm not going to do the same thing to other teams that other teams do to us. A win is a win is a win. He's putting up stats. He's doing all the things. He's playing within the system, and it works for him. But a lot of those yards that they didn't really go at Slay very much. He allowed 3 receptions. They didn't go at Bradbury at all. In fact, he's quietly had a really good 3-game stretch and is playing himself back into form. And I'm telling you, Bradbury has looked exceptional for 3 straight games. And they didn't go after that very much. There were some issues. Blankenship had a couple things. Bayard had a couple slow down things, but like it was basically just the middle of the field, and that's where people have been killing us all year.
Ricks was questionable at best, and the one I pointed out later with that play that fucking Jennings just shoved him out of the way and made him just look like he was a college kid playing against a bunch of professionals that just looked fucking horrible. I don't know what the hell he overplayed it. I don't think he was necessarily anticipating basically the where he was at on the field because he clearly ran right past him as he was trying to make that play, and it ended up biting him in the ass.
I think he thought that he was just going to run out of bounds, and the Niners were not playing that football game on Sunday whatsoever. Sitting here reading here, and like you said, the Niners do what Brock Purdy does well. They coach the game around what his strengths are and what they're not.
Right.
He had a -2-yard pass that becomes a 46-yard touchdown. A 5-yard pass becomes an 18-yard touchdown, and a 5-yard pass becomes a 48-yard touchdown. Now, on that, it looks like he throws 3 passes for 120 yards. It looks great, but you threw 8 yards, and then your receivers did everything else.
Yeah, and I think Hurts had quietly one of the worst games that I've seen him play, and he really even more than the Jets game because that one. You had injuries, you had horrendous weather. Nobody was moving the ball well. Like everybody was saying the same thing. I understood it. It was a terrible loss, but I understood it. But Hurts really quietly had a pretty bad game. But both of the Jet game and this loss, we're throwing the ball 44, 45 times. We're running the ball 20 less than 25 times. We're not getting the backs involved at all. The game plan is awful. And if Hurts is checking out of every single play into a run, that's on him. But that's not what they're saying is happening. In fact, I saw a thing where it said it was all flows through Sirianni mainly now. Like they kind of game plan together, and Johnson has like a group of calls that he can call from whatever they're doing. As they would say, back up, flip it, and reverse it, man, because it is not going well as an overall sustainability thing. And I don't know how Brian Johnson's this sought-after candidate when, he's not really even designing or calling the plays. Not really.
Yeah, and I was texting you guys on Sunday. The play calling is becoming very predictable in regards to exactly how the way that they are going to do it and at what point in the game they are going to do it. The second that we get into the 40, you can essentially remove the run game unless it's going to be Jalen Hurts doing a QB draw or we get to the fucking goal line and it's the push. outside of that, you are going to basically see him looking for either the check down, which with how long he's holding the ball, the fucking check down's not even becoming available anymore at the rate that we're going. I mean, he literally had all day to throw. I timed it the one play. It was 9 fucking seconds that he was back there before he finally had to let the ball. And at that point, it ended up going incomplete, sailing way over the guys. I think it actually sailed out of bounds at that point. But it's just
there's no way that you can tell me in 9 seconds that a receiver isn't open at some point. That's where most of the receivers become open and people get lost is when you have 9 seconds to throw because you're trying to watch Jalen Hurts, you're trying to watch the quarterback, and then you also lose your receiver. He's either not seeing it or just doesn't want to throw it. And I think it's a little of both when he starts getting a little gun shy like that. But I don't know why he's gun shy when you have an eternity to throw the football.
I mean, comfortability. I think it's comfortability, and I could kick myself because I looked at the Brian Johnson holdover as the most seamless transition, and the thing probably I wasn't worried about at all. And Desai, I thought, okay, we're gonna have some issues here, as we're figuring out new schematics, whatever. But it turns out it was more of a personnel issue, I think, for Desai, than it is a schematic issue. He prefers the 3 high safety. He prefers many safeties. Yeah, there's some questionable calls. There's some stuff, but ultimately he doesn't make the tackle, right? This is professional football, and you teach people how to tackle, but not really. You can work with guys, but the die is cast, as it were, right? So he just isn't doing a good job overall of on offense of disguising anything. And you can tell when they really get in their bag because you're seeing those very clever play actions, the dump off. I think Dallas Goedert is missed badly. I think this offense does not function without a tight end.
No, I don't think so either.
No, and we'll get into it, but he said that he's playing Sunday, so I mean it'll be a welcomed addition back
for sure.
For sure, he said he's playing and he's going to be out there for as many plays as they allow him to be out there. He said he's about 85% right now, but he can do everything that's needed for his position.
Wow.
I mean,
that was his interview today on WIP. Anyway, I mean, so take it for what it's worth. I do think he plays. Whether he's out there for 50 snaps, I doubt it. But I bet you he'll get a good 25.
Yeah, no, I mean it's definitely somebody that we definitely need back. It's a piece to this offense that we don't have currently at the moment. We know, he's not throwing it to Stoll or Capitera or any of these guys to help us, move that offense along. And especially somebody that's as sure-handed as he is. It's kind of one of the big ones. However, even despite this loss, team's still sitting at 10-2, and we're still atop the NFC. So I'm going to be the positive one, I guess, if you will, tonight, ever so slightly.
What?
Yeah,
that's how you know we're totally effed right now.
Yeah, we're fucked. No, it's to your guys' point. You guys saying, and even to be Brandon Graham's point, getting pieces of humble pie like this and being punched in the mouth lets you know that you're not invincible, and it gives you some framework on things to build on. And this team has a lot that we already knew that they needed to build on, but it highlights some significant goals. Obviously, Nick Morrow is not the fucking guy. I don't think that we've ever felt the absence of Zach Cunningham being such a huge one as it was in this game, because he just got fucking obliterated, and he's kind of we'll get into it in cover 2 when we talk about our least valuable player, because that's kind of what we're going to hit on. We'll do least valuable player and most valuable, because it's probably he's going to be one for sure. But it's one of them things that we're we're going to be in a tough spot. I'm obviously we signed Shaq Leonard this week. How he does it again. However, the reports coming out of is that Indianapolis are not great, and I'm not feeling like it's the answer to all of our fucking problems. We have significantly more problems than we do answers at this point when it comes to that defensive side of the ball. There's a couple more players I think that we probably wish we could have added prior to the trade deadline. And we've alluded to that about 100 times over. But yeah, do you guys think that Shaq Leonard is going to come in and make an immediate impact, or are we looking at some other personnel changes that need to happen?
Can't be any worse than watching Christian Ellis try to cover people or fucking Nick Mara try to cover anybody. So
I mean,
for me, it's definitely a positive difference for right now. I mean, unless he goes out there and intercepts the ball and then throws it back through the back of the end zone, but through it can't be anything but good at this point.
Right. No, it's valid. It's just it just has me kind of. It's raising some questions in my head, just ever so slightly. It's like, okay, with how bad they looked in various aspects of it. Now, yeah, they were beating these guys across the middle. They had a fucking field day there. But at the same time, the one thing that Desai has done, or at least that we've interpreted him doing well, is his ability to adjust in the second half to whatever fucking they're throwing at him, and he clearly did not do that this time. He wasn't putting safety down in the box to try and take away that dump off across the middle. And even when he did, Blankenship got beat the couple of times that it did fucking happen. So it was not as good as obviously it has been in the past. So yeah, Brock Purdy had a fucking field day.
Yeah, and it kills me. It really does.
I mean, it was a great day to play flag football if you really wanted to just enjoy yourself and have a two-hand touch and their rules were tackle, because there was a lot of check downs, there was a lot of plays that were just bad tackles. Blankenship had his worst game as an Eagle so far. I mean, he was really not good at all, and he had been sensational too.
He said that last week too, dude. He said that was his worst game of the week last week. And he trumped that. Like
he said, "Hold my beer."
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the thing. But like, play stupid games and you get stupid prizes. Like, I still have faith in the defense as a whole, but when you're trying to put together a new safety, Blankenship has missed half the season. Then you're bringing in Byard off from the Titans, and then you're bringing in, even if it's an all-pro, you're dropping in a guy now to his positive, like he has allowed like maybe 40 or 50 less yards than Morrow allowed in one game.
Right.
Okay, so that's a good stat, right? If you're looking at the games he did play, he has not allowed as many receiving yards. So is Pro Football Focus or whatever other analytics you want to delve into, depending on the day, he's an instant upgrade. He's going to be the best linebacker on our team. Now, Cunningham is a really great, run stopper and has played plus coverage in the past, but that's where he needs to be, as a plus coverage, pass coverage linebacker, not as the primary cover guy. Even though he's been filling in incredibly well, the limit is near on that. And I know that because we're the worst fucking team. And I'm like, Howie, just as they would say on that damn show, puppy pleasey, bring me a fucking safety, bring me a linebacker, bring me something, man. Bring me something. Go fetch, like, get me somebody that can tackle, somebody that has athleticism. And as much as it kills me to relive, like Nick Bolton in the Super Bowl, like, you need an impact guy like that. I know Devin White kind of has faded out a little bit too, but there are guys like Patrick Queen, Devin White, Nick Bolton, those guys that make instant impacts, and they change they change the scheme. But I think the Psy thrives in the everybody shakes everybody's hand type of defense, is what he said, is that it's not necessarily just about individual takeovers, on the back seven. It's about everyone working together, and you're not going to have that when you've added a bunch of people off the street and a bunch of people, even if they're really talented. Roby and our nickel, both safeties, our starting linebacker, they're all people we pulled off the street, and they're all our biggest areas of concern when we started the season. And who the fuck are we? So I trust Howie. I trust him to get it done. Dude builds winners, but this is an issue, and it's starting to become, as you would say, Tommy, this is starting to become a problem, a pattern.
Right.
I ask you guys a question. With the linebacking core being such an issue this year and even last year, do you think Howie starts to put an actual price tag on it? Because it's something that he's never, ever gone highly after into a draft. Do you think he finally puts a good price tag on it, whether it's a higher draft pick, maybe second round, or a higher price free agent? Or do you think he just continues to skate by with 6th, 7th round guys, and maybe we'll steal somebody on that gets cut?
Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is going to be coming out in the fucking draft. Just saying.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say the best linebacker we've had in the last 25 years has been Jeremiah Trotter. And how long has it been since? I mean, D'Amico was good and competent, but he was entering the end of his prime.
It was past it, yeah.
Yeah, he was past it. And Jordan Hicks was serviceable, okay, and T.J. Edwards was okay.
Big old
but the best
running back there.
Well, yeah, that's the whole deal. I mean, the best linebacker that we've had. The last time we've really been invested in linebacker. The guy's son is getting ready to come through the NFL draft. All right, so this is where we're at. We're past a pattern. We're to a generational issue from GM to GM, and could I see him going after like a Patrick Queen? Sure, or somebody like that. Yeah, if they're available, they're young and they fit the bill. But he has never done that traditionally. He's never invested in linebackers. He's not a huge believer in 2 overinvested safeties. I mean, it's just been how it's been, since we've gone.
In my defense either. I mean, it's been working out great.
Right. It's going real well.
It kills me because you had a great safety deal in Dawkins and Quentin Michael when they were here, and 2 good corners, and you could see how good this defense was. And you had a good middle linebacker there, and you had good edge rushers, and it was a top 3 defense every single year. Whether we had Jim Johnson or not, just with the
a lot of Jim Johnson and the way that he designed this defense and the way the schemes and the way he used to do things, which is something that we're definitely lacking. Besides style of defense, he is, he's not going to send the whole house at the quarterback. If he does, I'd be fucking surprised.
At the 6-yard line.
So yeah, it's just one of them things that we're in a tough spot, and the linebacking core I think is at some point if Howie is looking to build a contender year after year and to have a sustained range of success, you have to start placing value into both sides of the ball. You can't can't back up your offensive line room like he's notorious for doing. Which, to be fair, it's worked out in our favor up until this point. But at some point, and you hear the saying all the time: offense wins games, but defense wins championships. And if these guys don't figure this shit out, we're going to be relegated to being the team that goes to the Super Bowl and fucking loses it every year, and we turn into the Buffalo Bills all fucking over again.
It's insane that we could have scored 40 points in that game and still lost. Like you can't get a stop anywhere. 6 straight drives with a touchdown. That's like Madden football numbers. That's insane, and just nothing changed.
Yeah,
he saw them just getting absolutely demolished through the middle for the last 4 weeks, and just nothing has changed. And then you come up against the team who arguably does it the best with the pieces that they have with Kittle and McCaffrey and Debo and Ayuk and Jennings, and you're just like, you know what? We've won the last 4 weeks, so let me try it again.
Yeah.
And then you had, 9,000 yards tossed on you in the first half. So it seems. It was just nonstop. Nonstop.
Yep. All right. Well, before we get into cover two, there was one good thing to come out of the game, and that is
It ended.
fucking Big Dom.
Hey,
The gabagool.
my man.
Yeah, it's obviously it's become talked about. So he's I think he was trending on Twitter after the game and everything else. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah, I mean, stood up for the players. He got punched in the face. Not sure why he ended up being the one getting kicked out, but
Because of
Either
the absolute tantrum that Shanahan was throwing on the other sideline. Like, I thought that he was going to throw down everything and start kicking his legs on the ground. It was embarrassing.
he had a fucking shit fit. Yeah.
Oh,
he was,
my
he
God.
he was not happy.
And that's like the 15th penalty he's had.
Yeah. Article is tight, Mr. Cusick. Great read, my man. So
Thanks.
all right, guys, let's go ahead and get to cover two, talk about our least valuable player and most valuable player.
Oh, one second before we get here. So Dre Greenlaw has had 8 unnecessary roughness calls, 2 fines, and 2 ejections in the last 2 years. Like, the dude
That's
he's in there, and it's like
he makes Sue look like he's a nice guy.
Yeah. I don't get it. The guy's in there too. He's a great player. Dre Greenlaw is an awesome player. I would love to have him on a team the way he plays, but like that edge that it comes with, like, and then when all that happens, you're shocked when you suplex a guy out of bounds on the Eagles sideline in another dirty hit, and then the security guy stand there and literally just pulling you guys apart, and then you want to throw a punch towards it with your fake gun finger. Like, get the fuck out of here.
and I'm all about toughness.
Yeah, I think they were talking about whether or not Big Dom was going to be banned from the sidelines going forward by the NFL. I'm kind of curious to see how that would start.
He's been there since
Good luck.
1999. He's been there since
Good
99
luck.
and has never been an issue.
Yeah.
Dude, and here's what I'm saying. Like, I'm all about toughness and stuff, but there used to be, I don't know if you guys remember Richie Incognito at all.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I mean, the guy's total head case, right? So he went to Nebraska, and his dude's a nasty. Yeah, it does. It does. He can use public showers. That's how you know he didn't go to Penn State. But he went to Nebraska, and he had this nasty streak about him, right, man? He could pull block, knock the teeth out of you, and he just pancake guys left out, one right after another. But the issue is he would also do stuff like he stood over a player one time and he spit in his face. He took off a helmet and used it as a weapon before it was cool in Cleveland. So there's a lot of, it's one thing about nasty streak and about being tough and all that stuff, but like, you can't be out of control, right? You can have an occasional penalty or whatever. That's just another Derek Barnett to me. But like, the NFL needs to step in and do stuff. I'm gonna bag on that guy till I'm dead, but the NFL needs to step in and actually do something and make there be some, penalties that have some substance, because Dre Greenlaw's obviously never learned his lesson.
The only
he will if
the
we
NFL,
play him again.
Yeah, the only thing the NFL is worried about is getting money from betting revenue services and then suspending players when they bet for an entire year. But if you beat the ever living crap out of your wife, it's okay. We'll just come back in like 2 games. It's fine.
Yeah, we'll take that. We'll take that PR but we're not worried about whether or not.
Hey, we're gonna suspend you for betting, but can you also be in this FanDuel commercial for us, please?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's ridiculous. But you can beat the shit out of your wife, but hey, God forbid you.
We just had a cross thing, just real quick, in hockey. Player was suspended for 3/4 of a season for betting, and he has Bet 365 stamped on his freaking helmet. Another player from another team, baseball swung his stick and cold cocked somebody in the side of the head, and it was a $5,000 fine. That's it. just swung the shit out of it.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Headline all about money. World shocked.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get into cover 2 and give our least valuable player of the game. Cover 2 is brought to you by Fanatics. Use the link below and buy all your Eagles gear. Be suited up for the season. Make sure you place your orders now, as Christmas is coming up, and if you don't order it by now, might not get it on time for it to be underneath that Christmas tree. So make sure you guys up on that link and check it out. All right, we'll go ahead and go least valuable player and most valuable player. We didn't do least valuable player at the last loss. I don't think we were actually. I don't think we ended up actually covering post game just due to some scheduling conflicts. But yeah, we'll go ahead and kick this bad boy off. Carrington, who you got, dude?
I don't know if a coordinator can be a least valuable player. If
most valuable players are the coordinator, so have at it, pal.
Judges, yep, they are telling me. Our producers are telling me we can say that. Brian Johnson, come on down because you have won a bus ticket to probably Oakland, I hope. That just seems like a natural next stop for that asshole. Probably the nicest guy, I bet. But, like, call a plays or don't. Assert yourself or not. But find some rhythm and consistency because when they have their creativity rolling and the confidence is going, they're doing rollouts and they're getting the ball out in space. The ball's getting out of his hand very quickly and decisively. We're taking shots, and they're actually decent shots. I don't know, man. It's got to be Brian Johnson, least valuable for me.
Yeah, okay. Matt, who you got? I can't hear you, but yeah, you're.
No? Sitting over here, still 6. I have my mic muted. Sorry. No, I was saying, go ahead.
Shit. I mean, it's Nick Morrow for me, dude. It's I just don't know how you don't put this guy. You know, I'm just gonna play the video now. I was gonna save it for nickels and dimes, but.
Purdy pressure, rolls over the middle, caught by Samuel, breaks the tackle, still on his feet, and speed now. Samuel racing to the end zone, and he dives, and he's in.
Yeah.
Dude, like, what the fuck? What? And this isn't even the first time that happens, right? Nick Morrow got beat earlier in that quarter. McCaffrey did Brock Purdy caught McCaffrey over the top. Nick Morrow just completely botched coverage completely, and McCaffrey ended up taking it for, I think it was either for like 40 or something yards, some shit like that. Caught McCaffrey over the top. So between the missed coverage plays, the missed tackles, I'm surprised this dude was not cut before the fucking Sunday night was over.
I got something though to say to that. I'll tell you this. All right. How's that phrase goes? It's like when a child gets behind the wheel of a car and runs into a tree, you don't blame the child, right? You blame the parent who gave them the keys and said, "Here, kid, drive." Okay.
Right.
So either your gripe is either with Howie Roseman or it's with Desai. But for me, it feels a little unfair in Morrow. And I watched that tackle and it made my heart like slow down almost to, a deadly rate there. But they're the ones playing him, right? Like you have Sidney Brown, you could go in with that and go with play an extra safety. You have extra personnel. His limitations on pass coverage have been limited his whole career. And so if we're out there playing him, you know what I mean? Like to me, it's like you blame the parent, not the kid.
But to your point though, Carrington, and you brought it up earlier. You said, at what point do we stop blaming the coordinators? Because when it comes to missed tackles, man, and you putting a body on this guy, and you're not using the two appendages on your upper body that you have attached to you. That all you need to do is take and fucking wrap somebody. I mean, we're taught this shit in Pee Wee football when we're kids to use your arms, wrap the person up, and fucking take them down. You're a professional football player. You've been taught this. You know how to do this shit. And NFL football players are notorious for this shit. They'll throw their body out there. They won't use their arms. And there was another guy that did it on the Eagles team earlier on in the game where all he did was throw a body on the dude. I think it was
Bradley Roby when he went to go hit Brock Purdy, and Brock Purdy just ran right through him like he wasn't even there.
And just kept on going. If you have the arms, pick the fucking dude up and drive through him. I mean, like, this just doesn't.
I hear you 100. I hear you.
Throw these Madden hits,
Right.
come barreling down, throw a shoulder in, and then the running back bounces off, and now here's another 16 yards.
But I guess my problem with that is I'm with you 100%. Guys, a shit tackler, people arm tackle or like will they do the alligator arms or they do the barrel thing, where they just try to do the hug in the air. I get that, the ass out hug at the end of the first date. What do you do, right? So for me though, that's fine. But at which point of the 5 touchdowns in a row that were scored, do you say, hey, it's been 1 touchdown. Okay, now 2. Now you've allowed 100 yards. Now you've allowed 130. Now it's 177 yards. Does it become not his fault? Like, I'm not saying he's not shitty in pass coverage. He sucks. He has always sucked in pass coverage, though, is my argument. Is like, he sucks. He's not good at that stuff. He got cut. He made the team because of an injury, man. That's it. So like basically because of Sean Bradley's injury, like a special teams guy got hurt, then he made the team. So like, to me, my argument is either Howie's fucking up or Desai overestimated what he thought he could do with this personnel or overpromised and underdelivered. But after 5 touchdowns, even 3-4 touchdowns, holy shit, man! Like, let's put some accountability on somebody other than this guy that is just gassed, that's just getting absolutely fucking steamrolled. You know what I'm saying?
I just think back to last year and how much shit that we gave Gannon for how bad that he played, and we had a lot better defense for this time. And now I hate Gannon, and the guy literally cost us a Super Bowl with it. But when do we start blaming Desai with all this stuff? Because he has some pretty good talent to work with around him, and they're just giving up 400 yards a game, which is just absolutely insane. And just the middle is a problem. So you as a coordinator and a coach need to be able to fix that, or at least be able to
just make your
personnel that you have.
Right.
But I don't know.
Yeah. Who you as least valuable player, dude?
So I'm gonna take somebody who's actually been playing phenomenal, and I'm gonna take Josh Sweat, who cost them a huge touchdown. Well, cost them a field goal that ended up being a touchdown on the next play for giving them a another 3rd down crack at it for his offside. Whether it's offside or not, they called it. It was close enough. I'm not going to get into it, but your defense held that team to a field goal down in the red zone where they're extremely good at, and it was going to be a 6-3 game. You get the ball back. You were moving the ball great. You were moving the ball great. Your offense was still moving the ball at that point. Yeah, Harrison, absolutely.
Take Moreau out. Yeah, no, we're with you on that, Harrison. That's not.
I got nothing to pull out, man. I got nothing.
And then
doink.
And then he had another offside call, and on a big play coming in, and it's just like I wonder how much the game changes if it's 6-3 going in, and your offense was still moving the football a lot. Now all of a sudden it's 7-6, and you're like, well, shit, we played this well, and now we're losing already. Like, what? It has to be a little demoralizing with coming in, and that was a huge penalty. And just now, I know I'm not going to say he should have been getting pressures on Brock Purdy left and right. He's going against arguably one of the greatest left tackles in the history of football, whether I can't stand the guy or not, and Trent Williams.
Right. Yep.
But just that penalty was an absolute killer. As small as it was and as early as it was, it's just the way the game went after that. I felt like it kickstarted San Francisco, and they got 1 touchdown, and it was like, okay, now we're going to come back out. And then it was 5 straight touchdowns on 5 straight drives right after that, and it was abysmal.
It was it was
Right.
demoralizing.
Right.
For sure. 456 yards. They went fucking 8 of 11 on third down.
Yep.
Their efficiency on the offensive side of the ball was absolutely insane. And I don't know, we were playing off the guys. We were in. It almost kind of looked like we were in prevent, but we weren't playing that far back. We were playing back enough that like these guys had a fucking field day across the middle. Ayuk, Samuel, all of them, every fucking one of them had the open field across the middle.
Yep. I mean, I remember, and I'll think about it the rest of the year until we play San Francisco again. I think we had them on 2nd and 19. They were inside of the 15-yard line. Crowd was going crazy early in the game. Slay's playing about 13 yards off, and Ayuk runs a 15-yard little comeback route, and now all of a sudden it's 3rd and 2.
Yep.
Like, what are we doing? Like, because going up to that, San Francisco wasn't moving the ball at all. They had 2 straight 3 and outs, and then you pinned them back.
And we were fucking punching them out.
And it's just, okay, we're going to give you 12 yards now. It's like, what are we doing?
Nope.
You can do, exactly. The flag says it all in the back. Falling down again.
It's.
Oh yeah.
That's not a flag falling down. It's one of our linebackers trying to make a tackle still.
Yeah. No, but it killed me with that play and watching him play so far off of Ayuk for whatever reason. It just killed me. Absolutely killed me.
Yep. Yeah. Well, do you guys have any most valuable players in this game, or are we just going to go ahead and move on to the offense side of the ball and try and break this shit sandwich down?
I'll give it to Hassan Reddick for the first 3 drives, and my man was all over the football field. But after that, he played right along with every other Philly defender and just got whooped.
I'm gonna go Bradbury, man, because there's no other player that has taken shovel after shovel of pure shit to him. No other player that has been absolutely hammered like Bradbury, man, to me anyway. And he locked down coverage. They didn't even go his way. And before that, he not only was the subject of all this scrutiny and all this bullshit, just fake trash talk. It's just, that's the corniest. That's the shit that gets me the most. That cornball shit when you're trying to like drudge up some sort of beef with somebody, like the Giants are trying to do with Eagles fans. And I'm like, dude, we don't give a fuck. You guys aren't going to be good for like 10 years. Like, live with it. That's fine with me. Argue with a wall. But like Bradbury, he hasn't done or said shit to anybody. You know what I mean? He's like the most humble, quiet guy. Even he makes Jalen Hurts look like outlandish and flamboyant, man. Like, he is a good dude, and he has really turned his play around, taken all the criticism on a chin, and his return to me to his last year's form over this last 3 to 4 weeks. And that's an underrated development as our corners kind of getting their stuff back. Between he and Slay, they allowed 3 receptions, and Slay had all 3, but 33 yards. I mean, they did their job. It was the rest of the team,
Yeah, I want to look at the numbers and how many routes they actually ran outside. The numbers that was not targeted, but I think they came into that game focused that they weren't even going to throw it outside or rarely throw it outside. They were just going to torch the middle, and it fucking worked.
I wholeheartedly think that's exactly what ended up happening. I mean, they ultimately did that, but that's exactly what the game plan was. Once they started once he wasn't getting the pressure, and I mean, it had just been, the legs on the offensive line. They just weren't ready yet for those first 2 drives. But once they got their legs under them and they got pretty comfortable, he had a fucking field day across the middle. Yeah. Just a field day.
How they got him comfortable is they ran the football. They started running because they threw 6 straight passes coming out. They didn't even bother with Christian McCaffrey coming out, and they went 3 and out, and then they were like, oh, let's give it to this guy back here, and then it was game over from there.
Yep, absolutely. So my actually valuable player is Devontae Smith. He was the one highlight of that fucking offense that I could actually be like, okay, this dude came to play. Everything about this guy is he's a number one receiver on any other fucking team in the NFL.
Yep.
And he's proving it on the field every time he steps out there. It's a testament, and this is to him and his work ethic. But it also has you kind of, we've been racking on Brian Johnson. You have two of the most prolific wide receivers in the NFL at this point in time, and you are having a hard time figuring out how to fucking score once you get down into the red zone and getting touchdowns. I have no problem taking field goals, but at some point against some premier level talent and some premier level defenses, you have to figure out how to fucking put the ball in the end zone. You cannot rely on these guys you can't rely on Jake Elliott to come down and save our ass every time we fucking put ourselves into this situation. We get beyond the 50-yard line and the fucking offense just shuts down. And Devontae Smith is the only wide receiver that had a fucking touchdown in this game. The only one. Like that blows my fucking mind, because especially those first two drives, it looked like we were like I was on fucking cloud nine. The defense shut these guys down, and I was like, okay, we're about to go up 14-0, and we come out of it with 6 points. And from that point on, we were playing fucking catch up. Nothing ever caught fire after that.
Because it's fucking regression. Like that's what I've been. It's kind of been on the front on my brain, I guess. But we kind of solved those issues, or at least on paper, it looked like we did over the last 3 to 4 weeks, right? Like we were 12 for 12 or something like that in the red zone, getting touchdowns. We weren't settling for as many field goals. We were taking advantage of opportunities. We were actually pretty low on the list of penalties, and now we're up on penalties. Although we've not turned the ball over a bunch. At least, we're keeping that afloat, but we got back up there with penalties again. We got up there with hurting ourselves with not capitalizing. When you're playing the 49ers or the Cowboys, any team with any type of substance to them that's, striving for a championship, the Chiefs, you can't settle for field goals, man. You just can't do it. And what's been lacking to me all year is just continuity and consistency on both sides of the ball. You're going to play teams that want it more, and the Niners are a matchup nightmare specifically for us. We don't guard the tight end well. A pass catching running back's always been a bit of a challenge, but we do all the other things fine, as proven, right? We shut down the receivers, although they didn't have to go to them, tit for tat, whatever. But we did last time too. The middle of the field, there's a clear problem, and we did nothing to address it. Nothing. We didn't do anything in the offseason to address it. In fact, it took us in the middle of, week 4 or 5 before we were deciding, all right, maybe we can't go with Justin Evans, who's shut down for the season, by the way. So that opens up a roster spot, but he wasn't activated out of his 21-day practice window in time, so he's done for the year. But maybe Justin Evans and, Terrell Edmonds, the ghost of safeties past, they're not going to get it done for us. And then we trade for Byard, and he's good, but he needs time to acclimate too. I mean, this is the NFL. You can't just step in. I can't think of many jobs you can just step in, after a week and just know your shit. And this is the NFL. I mean, you might as well be learning a whole nother language when you're talking about learning playbooks and getting acclimated to a system. He didn't play the same type of system in Tennessee either, but I don't know. I'm too pissed off to think.
Yep.
Yeah, I do want to give a shout out to AJ Brown too. He played his ass off. He ran the ball hard after a couple of catches. He was not going down whatsoever, especially down in the red zone when they picked up the first down to get inside the 5. He had a big third down catch. Going back across his body and picking up another couple of yards, but I think he ended up 113 yards.
114, yeah.
114, yeah.
Yep.
In your face.
He started that game off. Yeah, started that game off. With a bang and a quick slant and just. I
didn't fucking understand why we didn't continue to try and do that. I mean, that's exactly what you guys needed to do. Like, I mean, if you were going to stick with this fucking passing game across the middle, you know what? Let me stop because I'm going to delve into this. Let's just go ahead and fourth and season now because we got this off. We're going to be fucking screaming at the screen. So let's go ahead and get into that.
Trying to stop a 4th and 26 and in essence take over. Plenty of time. Down the middle, it's Mitchell. Where will they spot him? They're going to get forward progress and a first down.
Man, do we need that for,
No shit.
last game at fucking any point. Jeez. Fourth the season is brought to you by Righteous Felon. Go to righteousfelon.com. Use promo code OCSN for 15% off of the best beef jerky around. Tommy, what do you got? Since you were getting ready to go in.
Yeah.
I was getting ready to go. When that offense came out and they started, they were doing a lot of these quick slants across the middle. And AJ, they literally ran the exact same play, I think like 3 or 4 times in a row. And AJ Brown was open every fucking time. He hit him in stride every time, and it was at least gaining 11 yards every time that they went out to do it. The second that we kicked that second field goal and we were up 6-0, the offense completely changed. We decided to look for every deep route that he had all day to throw, which is fine. I have no problem with having all day to throw, but at some point you have to make the connection with somebody. And they refused. It never happened again after that. I don't know what kind of game plan Brian Johnson was looking at or what they were planning on doing. But to Matt's point, DeAndre Swift was handed the ball 6 fucking times.
Yep.
13 yards. Gainwell, 2 rushes, 5 yards. Boston Scott, 1 rush, 2 yards. The most amount of yardage rushing came from Jalen Hurts, and that was him scrambling to get out of the pocket after sitting back there for 7 fucking seconds, waiting to throw the ball. They had an accumulated number of rushing yardage of 46 on 18 rushing attempts, if you will. That's what the fuck are we doing? Like, what is that? I don't know what game plan it was that he was looking at. I guess 49ers secondary isn't in the top. They're not in the top tier, but they're not horrible.
It's their weak spot with that whole defense.
Right. But I mean, if that's a weak spot, that's not. They clearly proved that it's not that big of a fucking weak spot.
Nope.
I mean, it just I don't understand the thought process here. And to Jalen Hurts' credit, this dude, he tried his ass off. 24 for 40, but 26 for 45, threw for 298 yards, had 1 touchdown. Ended up going into the locker room at one point for concussion protocol.
Yep.
Obviously ended up coming back. Mariota, I actually don't think looked horrible in the 3 plays or 4 plays it was that he was out there.
No, it was fucking wild. They actually ran 6-yard routes and he got the ball out of his hand quickly, and we actually got a first down. It was actually nice. Yeah, I feel like Brian Johnson gets into like a Johnson measuring contest with other teams, and he listens to sports media saying Hurts can't throw the ball. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to show him that he can throw the football. We're going to stand back here and try to chuck this thing down the field. It's like you're going to lose 10 out of 10 times doing that. Whether we like it or not, we had the 3rd leading rusher in the NFL. I believe DeAndre Swift still is. Almost 800 yards. Crazy. Crazy.
I don't get it.
Got 6 carries. I remember I was so happy when Andy Reid was here one day because we could not run the football. And LaShawn McCoy had 22 carries for 40 yards. I'm like, I don't care if he's even gaining yards. Just show the ability that you're still going to try to run the football because it makes everybody just respect it a little bit. You know what I mean? they're just going to bring it up a little bit going here. And it's insane that he just completely abandons the run.
So bigger blame, Hurts or Brian Johnson?
Brian Johnson, 100%. It's not even close for me.
Yeah. It wasn't close till that it's not, we don't run. We don't fucking run. And that's the thing is it's not till the all 22 film came out that I would even have considered entertaining placing any type of blame on Jalen Hurts. He was sensational all season, and he's taken a lot of the brunt of every other criticism. But then I watched the tape, really, really watched it, and we're watching even some of the separation that A.J. Brown, to your point, after those first 2 drives. And, I would say it's at least 60-40. I wouldn't put it on Hurts, but I would at least give him the 40 that he's having some issues with vision. Now, I'm not going to be a David Carr. I don't know if you guys saw that, but David Carr, to his credit, he's had so many concussions that I'm surprised that guy can tie his own shoes. RIP brain cells. But
got Velcro underneath of his legs.
Right, but if any of you guys missed it watching, he basically said that the Eagles should replace Jalen Hurts with Marcus Mariota, and that he would argue that Hurts isn't doing a great job drop back passing, and he's right about the drop back passing part for some instances. He's not right about anything else, or he didn't watch the preseason. All I'm saying is Hurts is having some issues with field vision. He's getting used to playing, as we kind of say, in that Wentzian style, where, for truly lack of a better word, where if you've ever played Madden or done it on PlayStation, you've done it a million times. You've hiked the ball and you roll out immediately to shorten the field and, do whatever. But he is getting very used to playing that backyard football. And we're seeing defenses start to kind of get, as they say, cool to that. Like same with Mahomes, where people are understanding and starting to anticipate some of those routes, saying, hey, he's cutting off. You can't make all of these crazy throws all the time. And that's what's happening. So the running game stabilizes that. Running out of the play action stabilizes that. Throwing out of that play action really helps you. Cut the field in half, narrow his scope. I don't think it's anything to do with physical gifts. I think that the continuity issue is all across the board. I've never seen coordinators really affect a team the way that losing coordinators have affected. Like Shane Steichen, man, that guy.
Genius.
Had no idea. I had no idea. And I thought he was probably pretty okay, but I was like, he's making Indy contend, and they've had nothing but failure this year, with injuries and everything else. So I think it really just goes to show you how important the play calling is. I don't know who's calling the plays. I would love a clear fucking answer so I know who to be angry at. This is the most Philadelphia thing I ever said, but figure it the fuck out.
I think that's why I lean back and just say Brian Johnson, because if you see your quarterback is having issues with field vision, because this isn't the first week that he's had issues looking all over. You need to put your players in a better position.
Right.
You need to put your players in a better position, and that's where it comes down to. And we talked with Sean Desai doing the same thing with McMurray. You see he's out there just getting absolutely just torched week in and week out, and he's like, you know what? We're going to keep just throwing him out there, and you act like it's going to miraculous, like just change, and it's just going to click, and he's going to become this awesome coverage guy. It's not going to happen. And for right now, Hurts to see the entire field. I don't want to say it's not going to happen, but I feel like it's not going to happen. Everything's been going for the last couple of weeks. We've been down 10 at halftime against very good teams. We've gotten super lucky on just pure talent alone, not even with anything else. Brian Johnson has gotten away with 10 wins off of pure talent alone.
Yeah.
Besides that Miami game. I would give him the Miami game.
Yeah.
But
this is one of the things.
In a good position.
Right. This is one of the things where I wish we were able to see the whole field and to see what the receivers are and what they're actually doing in regards to the routes that are being ran and the things that are being done. Because at some point, you could probably make the determination as to whether or not Hurts is progressing through or going through his progressions well enough and quickly enough for him to be able to make those passes to some of these guys that are probably open or have potential of being open, instead of sitting back there like he did with this game for 9 fucking seconds and waiting for somebody to just get open, and you're sitting there pointing around. I mean, at some point, and I mean, we were texting back and forth. At some point, just throw the fucking ball away. If you're back there for 9 seconds, throw the fucking ball away. You're not doing yourself any favors. And then, like, he ended up doing that slip thing. And from the slip on, that was fucking it. I mean, like, he did not look.
That was a absolute game changer. I mean, to take a 16-yard loss or whatever it was on that one, just keep backpedaling. We're gonna wait. Backpedal, trip, fall. It's like,
fuck, dude, throw the ball away.
Yeah, and if you see, and he should throw the ball away. I'm 100% on that, and I know I've just assigned him a lot of blame. But now, as I flip back to Brian Johnson, dude, routes for a chode, man, fucking junk. I watched that play, and I've seen it from the aerial view probably about 15 times, slow motion, just watching, seeing what happened, watching that whole sequence of events. And you see on 2 different occasions, all 3, slot receiver, both outside receivers, X, Y, go straight fucking forward. All of them are running essentially goalpost streets. Straight forward. Everyone did the same thing. No fucking middle action, no check down, no bullshit. And so you're watching, and Hurts is going, but they have Warner there spying him. And I'm not saying you can't outrun him, but you're probably not a great idea. And for your overall viability, and you have a safety over top, and you're doing all this stuff. Well, we're running the dumbest fucking routes known to man, like it's backyard football, and they're out 2 safeties.
Yeah,
I mean, it reminds me of the Jets so much, analytically, statistically, wherever you want to look at it. I know our defense didn't give up all those points because it's kind of one of those mud games, whatever. But 45 pass attempts, less than 20 fucking rushing attempts, and most of them come from your quarterback.
Yep.
Jesus Christ, man. I mean, just beat your head against the wall for a little bit longer. Let's see if that works. And, once you've reached bone, maybe you'll stop. But, if you see that play, I mean, it literally 3 streaks up the field. That's it. And I'm going, no action, no comeback, nothing. Just 3 streaks. I mean, the lack of creativity with this group of people. I mean,
this is to my point, and this is what I was talking about. I mean, it's become so fucking predictable. You get into the red zone, offense just totally shifts into predictability without fucking question. I mean, he's going to throw the ball. He's not going to run. Is it Brian Johnson trying to make sure that Hurts' dick looks bigger because everybody's saying that he doesn't know how to throw the ball? And I mean, what is it? Why is it that we cannot figure out? We were praising them last week. We finally might have figured out how to do the red zone. No, we didn't. It's the exact same fucking bullshit. It's not. We didn't figure shit out. All we figured out is a way to beat the Kansas City's coverage well enough to be able to accumulate enough yards to get a first down. We're not being effective at all in regards to that red zone. We're kicking field goals more often than not.
And I feel like half those touchdowns that we did go 12 for 12 with those touchdowns. I feel like if they're off of broken plays and you just have guys just running around in the end zone, it's not off a set play where you have, all right, we're gonna take Brandon Ayuk and we're gonna run him through traffic through the back of the goal line and just keep running him, just run him open. There's none of that. It's just either a fade to the corner or a bubble screen. Yeah. Those are the 2 plays that they have.
And at one point, there was a play that the 49ers ran on they were within the goal line or in the red zone, and they did a bunch of guys just coming across the middle, and it confused our fucking defense so bad, but it left people wide open all over the fucking street. Brock Purdy could have threw it to fucking anybody because nobody knew who they needed to cover. We never do it ever, and I don't we used to have a tight end set that we used to do where Stoll, Calcaterra, and Goddard used to be out there. And I don't know if it's because Goddard's out, we're just choosing not to fucking do it anymore. But I think the 2 or 3 times that we've seen it, it ended up resulting in a touchdown because it's something that we weren't doing often or frequently because we couldn't rely upon Stoll or Calcaterra to do it effectively. But it's becoming so fucking predictable. Jalen Hurts is going to do a QB draw at some point once you get into the red zone. AJ Brown's going to be looked down on the sideline. Devontae Smith's going to be looked at to do the fucking flag route into the back, and then there was another flag route that they were looking to try and do that. I think it was meant to hit AJ Brown on his back shoulder. It did not. It hit AJ Brown on the front shoulder with the guy able to make the fucking play. Jalen Hurts isn't making the throws. He's not being effective in his ability to execute the plays. But in turn, Brian Johnson's offense is so fucking predictable. It's not inherently difficult for them to figure out what play we're going to run. It's really not.
I think it's just like go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, and I noticed in back-to-back weeks on the bubble screen that Jalen Hurts has had to pump to get it out to Devontae Smith because the defense knows what's coming and they're jumping the route. And if he throws it on that first hit, it's going to be a pick six. They're not even. And I'm like, how many times does this have to happen if my fat ass can see this on the couch with no football coaching ability whatsoever, and you're getting paid to be on an NFL team and you don't see this happening? Like, and I know they run the same formation and so they can set it up later in the game to run something else. But if you're down by 30, it doesn't matter if you can run it in the third quarter or not. I sent you guys a dirty ass play by Chase Young. I don't know if you saw that or not.
Yeah. Prick.
Yeah.
I just
to add on the, but
no, you're good, man. It's just to me, it's the lack of creativity, the lack of execution. It's like you can't make the tackles, can't make the throws. I get that, but then do something different. Do something, live and die by the sword. Do whatever. And I can't stand Iowa football. Cannot stand any chance I can get to talk badly about those cocksuckers. I will. But I will tell you, they great offense. I hope we get their punter next year. But I literally, they know their identity.
Yeah.
And they understand what their weaknesses are. And it might be embarrassing or might be whatever. But they won 10 games. This sounds familiar. And they are going to the conference championship, whatever. And they know their identity. And the Eagles need to decide, what is our identity? Are we going to be a West Coast run? Are we going to run to set up the pass? What are we going to do? You know what I mean? Because to me, we're more like a shotgun or a vertical run system, and we should be more. That's why I was so excited about Zach Ertz, because to me, having him gives you the ability to have Stoll out there doing what he does well, which is seal block. He's an incredible blocker. And he's just okay, serviceable catching the ball. But having Ertz out there, having Goddard gives you many, many different eyeballs of linebackers attached to you. And it makes you say, maybe I can't take Fred Warner and just sit him on Jalen Hurts all fucking game. Oh my God, dude. That image is just burned in my brain, that long-haired jerk off just sitting there just watching him.
He wouldn't even move.
No.
He would just slam his ass right there in the middle of the field. And he just watched him. And he's athletic enough. And this goes back to my thing about, having a solid middle linebacker. Look at these top teams. They have a solid linebacker to call their plays. And, I love Nakobe Dean. I think he could be a good player. Not to that level. But the guy can't stay healthy. So it's time to go find your guy.
Yeah.
Be a captain of a defense and be able to do this. And whether you let that guy go on TJ Edwards, I wouldn't want to pay him $45 million or whatever the hell he got from Chicago. But it's you need somebody that's going to be able to make these plays and just force the defense to do whatever. But it's so frustrating to watch.
And realistically, who's that person out there? Devin White's going to be a free agent. Patrick Queen's going to be a free agent. To me, if he can stay healthy, which is a huge if, Jeremy Chin could fit the bill because he really is just an oversized linebacker. But who is out there that's going to be that impact Mike linebacker for the Eagles? And it's just tough, man. I mean, maybe it's a legacy
The
that's going to
Cardinals,
come home and save us.
when he got traded for a 7th-round pick or whatever the hell they let him fly for. That was their chance to get somebody for that time.
Who is it, Simmons?
Yeah, Simmons. You know what I mean?
What a waste. What a waste.
For nothing. He got released for nothing, and that could have helped anything that you had. Plus, for now, Patrick Queen was available at the beginning of the season after they signed Roquan to that huge deal. They know they're not going to be able to sign Patrick Queen back. They might now with the defense on how Baltimore is playing, but I doubt it. But they had a chance to get their guys, and they just like, nope, we got our guys, even though we have nobody.
I mean, and once again, we're 10-2, so we're doing something right. We're not going to run into the 49ers every week. And now maybe in the conference championship, I think we're still primed. We're still primed to go ahead and run the table if we so wish. I really think that, and it's a possibility of Seattle that's going to get Kenneth Walker back, that's getting a couple other pieces on defense back, who already played the Cowboys really well without many of those key pieces. It's a possibility that they take the 49ers to task because defensively they're lined up to shut down the things that they do well. That's what they were built for, right? They're in division just like we are with the Cowboys. And so there's a possibility Seattle upsets the 49ers. In fact, probably a pretty damn good one, coming off such a high energy, blow the doors off it type game. And just like when the 49ers, blew out the Cowboys and then lost the very next week, right? So you're going to have those types of ups and downs. They also have to win. That's what I always have to remind myself. The other team also has to compete and win, and their fans are just as nervous as I am. But going forward, we gotta solve this shit.
Yeah, we definitely have to figure that shit out.
Yeah. Another thing, real quick, I'm not going to blame it on the schedule of why they didn't show up to play. I think it's a piss poor excuse. But coming off of 3 games in 13 days against the Bills, the Chiefs, and then the Niners. Niners coming off of 10 days rest of like a mini bye week, almost playing Thursday, and then we get the Cowboys again, who are coming off of 10 days rest. It's like, when does it stop? Because it is what it is. Football, they play once a week. It's a very physical and tiring game, traveling all over. But they have to come and play Sunday because if not, they're going to find themselves as the 5th seed very quickly.
Yep.
Correct.
Very quickly.
Yep. And it's, we all know we hate Cowboys and the way that these, it's a lot of talk and no bite. But yeah, I mean, it's very quickly became a game with the Cowboys that
it's a must win.
Right.
It really is.
We have to. And we just can't. We cannot rest on our laurels and let these guys come in or we can't go down there and let them punch us in the mouth. That's
because we know how well we play in Seattle too.
Right. Well, that's not well at all. Exactly. All right. Well, let's go ahead and break down the defense a little bit because we
all right. We done broke up. We all broke down the defense. That segment's already fucking over. So we're good.
Yeah. None of us have any problems with what's going on.
Yeah, let's get into nickels and dimes. Here's another half-hour segment, everybody. All right, Nickels and Dimes is brought to you by Warlord's Main Grooming Essentials. Visit warlordbeardoil.com. Use promo code OCSM15 for 15% off your beard products. They also have just regular men's body washes and things like that. So definitely check them out. You don't need to have a beard to be able to utilize their products. It's pretty good shit. So definitely check them out.
But it helps.
Yeah. All right. Well, I blasted Nick Morrow. I think we all kind of blasted Nick Morrow, but the SI is the schemes in which we're operating in now as a defense have shifted dramatically. And let's be fair, the fucking secondary is just not up to snuff. It never has been. We have blasted these guys week in, week out, regardless of the outcome of the games, because there has been it's just lackluster at best. Let's go ahead and just dive into it because this is going to be a shit sandwich. I know this is going to be another long fucking segment, so let's just go.
Everything good.
I mean, fuck, man, where do you start that we haven't at least covered in my brain 100,000 times? But I didn't see a whole lot of shit that really impressed me. But I mean, I'm just saying. I want to steal that for an article title. I think, depending how this weekend goes, it may be written inebriated. I don't know how production feels about that. Oh, we're getting word it's fine. So here's the deal, man. Our defense has the pieces. It has the potential. And the only reason I feel that way, Bayard's not done anything that's just blown me away yet. Obviously, he's still getting acclimated. The only pass that I see for Desai is that not only
this acclimated thing is getting on my nerves, Carrington. I'd say
what's that?
This acclimated thing is getting on my fucking nerves now. We're at week 4 here now. Fucking figure it out, dude.
No, you're right. You're 100%. You're 100% right. You're 100% right. I have yet to look at him and say at Bayard and go, "You're the problem."
Yeah. No.
Okay, so that's not the issue. He's at least acclimated to that point, as you would say, right? Your favorite word. So while you think about it that way, also look at Blankenship, right? He had 2 or 3 good weeks in a row, and he's had a couple shit weeks where he's just been kind of exposed. But when you're not having your personnel consistently, and I have not seen, we talked about it. What's going to beat the Eagles? It's either ourselves, which success, or injuries, success, right? And that between the Jets and this game, to your point, Matt, we played, many games. A lot of teams do that, and that's fine. I've never seen a schedule like this in my absolute fucking life where we've had every team's coming off of 10 or 14 days rest, and we're playing 3 games in 13 days. And even though it's our own damn fault, we have an overtime game where we're playing on limited minutes, limited guys, pieces. We're barely cycling people back in just in time to play games. Many people are dealing with injuries, but we ran into a mostly healthy 49ers team minus a safety, and we are beat down and we're exhausted playing yet another game and on short rest once again. I just feel like we have yet to put together a game that on both sides of the ball where both sides are playing B+ football. And not even A. Like, I'm not even talking about passing here, man. Just give me like an 87. I haven't been in school for a little bit, so I don't know if that's really a good B+ or not. But to me, put together a side of the ball. Give me one that just says, "Wow, we're doing something outstanding," and then we're keeping the main thing, which is winning, and that's what's been working. But when both sides just absolutely fall flat on their face, you have injuries piling up, and then now you're adding a new nickel, a new safety. Now, what's this going to be? Our another secondary combo where let's sprinkle Ricks out there and watch him get absolutely abused on like 3 out of 5 pass plays. He just got absolutely manhandled. It's just one of those deals, man, where the continuity is killing us. The injuries are killing us.
Shaq Leonard in the second level now, so it's going to be a totally different fucking breakdown anyway. So. Yeah,
and I love it, man. Throw in some fucking Shaq Leonard, man. Throw in some Shaq Leonard. I love taking swings. We still have an open roster spot, so you could see, Ertz added with that. I've heard, as I'm sure you've seen too, like stuff with Sue, and people just like, bulking up. And we've talked about that, bulking up for the postseason stuff. But this defense hasn't played its best game, but I don't think it's nearly as bad. The linebackers are pretty bad. What's that?
Neither side of the ball has. This team in general has not played their best football at all.
Right.
And I mean, even Jason Kelsey said it the other day on WIP. He's like, we haven't played our best football yet. But I'm getting tired of hearing that fucking excuse too.
And what Andy Reid, we need to do better.
Right. And what week is it that you guys are going to finally decide to play your best football? Like
maybe this is their football. Like we don't know. That's the scary part.
We need to scare these fucking teams. This is half the problem. You know what I mean?
Yep.
If if you do this the right way and you strategize this effectively, well, we haven't played our best game yet. Okay, so when is that going to be? Like, is it just going to finally just click all of a sudden once you guys get into the playoffs? I'm sorry, but giving yourself a first round bye, I find to be more important than fucking. We're plagued with injuries. We're dealing with all the bullshit. We're having to try and recover from everything else that we've experienced up to this point. At what point do you guys finally go, okay, let's go ahead and flip the switch now? Like, no, this is what this football team is. We play from behind. We do this shit. We come back and we're pretty fucking resilient. But if you're saying there that we're going to finally play good football, I mean, when? We can't wait till week 16 when we're playing the fucking Giants or the Cardinals, and that's when we're finally going to decide to play our best football. When we're playing second string players in Arizona and fucking New York. Like, come on, this shit's just getting ridiculous. I'm tired of hearing the excuse we haven't played our best football yet. It's just it's wearing thin.
The best football thing's stupid. I mean it more of a factually, not like I'm waiting for them to turn it on or whatever. That would be a fucking insult, right? But what I'm counting on is that they're on defense now. I'm not talking about offense. I have a whole different type of spec on offense, which is they should already have it fucking figured out. That should have been the flagship that's been carrying the team already. All right, and injuries like Juergens, that sucked and whatever, but that's not been everything. Goddard, that sucked, but that's not been the end all be all. But on offense, but on defense, I'm just saying the only hope I have is that and I think it's a reasonable hope that adding a former All-Pro linebacker and returning Zach Cunningham, and he's suddenly our second best linebacker, and you have your team has some. What's that?
Who'd have fucking thought, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's the deal. Like, that's why I was so pissed off. You can't count on adding an All-Pro or having a linebacker just fall in your lap every year. Like, you just can't. It's just piss poor planning when you had cap space and draft assets. You gambled and you lost. And so now my only hope is for this team, the optimistic side, is that adding Shaq Leonard, who is highly motivated to go after and get his last contract, probably his last contract at 28, who's an All-Pro linebacker.
Too.
What's that?
And a championship too.
Yeah, and a championship too. Right,
Yeah,
and a guy who has continuity and stuff is that give me 3-4 games in a row, maybe, of having 90% of your people available even. Give me 2 or 3 games in a row. Now, this is the NFL. Like, you got to play the hand you're dealt. But the reason I still have hope is because we're 10-2. And nobody else can fucking say that. The 49ers may have just taken us to the woodshed, but it honestly doesn't matter. If we just continue to do what we do, we can have our blowout. We can have our close, ridiculous loss to the Jets. Seem like we do every fucking year, like in 2017. We got our shit kicked in by the Seahawks. And then we went on and we fucking steamrolled people, man. And we did it with a backup quarterback. So the continuity thing for me is on defense. I just don't think it's reasonable to say that Desai's been given his best chance to make an impact when he hasn't had a secondary. He had a different secondary, the first 8 games of the season,
Agreed. But why not change your scheme to utilize the front four that are arguably your best asset in regards to this defense, right? If you know that you have these guys like we do, you know what I mean? You have Jalen Carter and you have Jordan Davis and you have Josh Sweat and Fletcher Cox, and Fletcher Cox is coming. This is probably his best year that he's had. We were ready to fucking send him to the woodshed and put him to sleep. But this year he's emerged and really kind of been a leader in regards to this defensive line. So use that to your strength. Change your schemes up and try and maybe throw some of these other guys out there, and do a 5-man scheme and put some extra pressure on the fucking quarterback and give the defensive back some relief in regards to not having to worry about whether or not that's all well and good. But I mean, at some point, utilize what strengths that you fucking have and figure it the fuck out. I mean, we know that the cornerbacks are going to be a problem. Do something else. We know the safety is a problem. We know the linebacker is a problem. Change up your schemes to make it so that it works for you. And this is exactly what goes along with Brian Johnson. It's fucking predictable. These guys are very predictable in the way that they are going to execute their offense and their defensive side of the ball. And it's getting fucking old. I mean, I can call it before it even fucking happens.
Yeah. I'm with you 100% there, man. We're looking at it like you said, my fat ass sitting on the couch, Matt. Like I'm literally sitting there looking at my wife, and I'm like, well, this is a screen. If I've ever seen a screen is a screen is a screen. And on offense, I'm like, holy.
Right. We're gonna send 4 men. Hassan Reddick's going to be the one guy that gets to the quarterback. The other 3 guys, this one's going to do this. He's not going to. I mean, Hassan Reddick. There was a couple of times he forgot to set the fucking edge. There's various things that he was doing everything in his fucking power to try and get to the quarterback because he knew that was the only way that they were going to win that game, and he was the only one that fucking did it. Everybody else, it was an absolute fucking disaster. And I don't know what Desai's plan was. I didn't know if that was in the cards, but they are not scheming this appropriately based off of the talent that they have. They know that their strength is on the defensive line, and they're not doing anything to capitalize on that talent.
We have no edge on defense. None.
No, there's absolutely none. Darius Slay looks so checked out during 95% of the game half the time. Like
so
it's just like he doesn't even want to be there.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was so excited. I always loved Darius Slay when he was in Detroit. I always thought he was so underrated and doing everything else. And now I'm like, besides that Justin Jefferson game and when Minnesota came here, I'm kind of like, what else has he really done?
What have you done lately?
And so it's like we go through, and then with his first thing, he jumps on Twitter and gets into with arguably one of the greatest defensive players in the history of Philadelphia. After you got blown out by 30, that's your biggest thing. And I know I touched on it before. As a coach, you need to put your players in the best position available. If you have, I'm so fucking frustrated still. If you clearly see that Morrow is just he can't keep up in coverage. They have a phenomenal tight end, one of the top 2 tight ends. They're the best running back in football. Where's Sidney Brown at? Probably one of your fastest defensive players, who is better in coverage and at least a willing tackler at this point. You know what I mean? And it's just like we don't give him a shot at anything because of what you're doing now is not working whatsoever. And how long are we going to keep this going until oh shit, well now we're actually the 6th seed? You know what I mean? Like how long do we get there with coming through until we finally make a change coming in?
I think you have to ask yourself like a different type of question, which is it fixable? And is it actually possible for us to fix this as it stands? And what are we actually missing? Because it's not Hargrave. All right, we're getting similar, pass rush winning. In fact, better from Carter in a lot of instances. Yes, a lot more injuries this year, a lot more inconsistency with your rotation.
Yep.
So what are you going to do about it, right? Like, who do you have to replace? And you look, and even the ancillary guys we signed, Edmonds gone, right? He was awful, traded. Then you have Evans, who even had a couple of decent moments, albeit a couple of blowout moments, and he's injured, gone, right? And you have Sidney Brown. So let's get him
7 snaps. 7, Matt. 7 fucking snaps in that game. Sidney Brown only took 7 snaps in the game.
It's insane. And so we get there, and like you were saying, Carrington, it's if we can fix it, we'll never know because they never do anything different. Like they'll change up on how they might cover people, but it's the same thing coming in half the time, and we just got straight up exploited on Sunday. And if we think that, and this all carried over from Dallas, because what did Dallas do when they came here to Philly? They didn't put CeeDee Lamb on the outside against Bradbury or Slay. No, we're going to put him right in the slot, and we're going to let him run for 190 yards.
Right.
That's what happened.
They let Ricks and Roby try and fucking figure out how to shut this dude down, and they couldn't fucking do it.
Nope.
We ended up getting into a fucking pissing match with them, and Jalen Hurts came out on top. Is what it fucking boiled down to.
We're
not going to be able to do that in Dallas because we see them. We're potentially going to see them 3 times this year.
Yeah.
So this is the one we need to fucking figure out, because if we don't, we're screwed. I mean, there are far too many teams that have the same amount of offensive weapons that we do. Pollard's not a pushover in regards to the run game. He's very similar to DeAndre Swift. He runs hard. He'll fucking barrel through people, and he'll do what he has to do. And Dallas has the same exact receivers as we do. And San Francisco is clearly far more superior on the offensive side of the ball in regards to the talent that they have.
Yeah, and now Dallas has figured out how to get Brandon Cooks, into their rotation coming in. So
if you look at the full execution of the offense at this point, Carrington, you're shaking your head, and I get what you're. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith are 2 great wide receivers. However, when you look at this holistically, okay, you have McCaffrey in the backfield, you have Kittle, and you have those 2 guys, and then you have Brock Purdy, who, as we clearly fucking found out, he is not a pushover. This dude he's pretty legit. San Francisco's got a better offense than us at this point in regards to the execution and what they're able to do. Now they take all things into account.
And that's what
Okay,
carries
so
me into
but
is
execution.
in the best position. They know he's not going to throw the ball 40 yards down the field. No, they're going to pump it out to the receivers, let them make plays. That's what he does best, and they do it very well. Sorry, Karen.
Yeah, no, you're good, man. We had a linebacker give up like 150 to 170 yards. One guy, right? So, but saying talent and saying execution to me are 2 different things. Because talent, it represents the potential, the ability you have. The execution represents the coaching. If you want to argue that Kyle Shanahan's a better offensive-minded coach than Brian Johnson, then, I mean, let me be first in line like it's the new fucking iPhone, all right? I'm going to be camped out for days. But if you're talking about total talent, not taking Purdy over Hurts. I'll give you McCaffrey over Swift, particularly with how they use them, back to the coaching side. But Swift is no pushover, 3rd in rushing. You talking Kittle, Goddard, if he's available, whatever. I think that's a push. Ayuk can't hold Smith or A.J. Brown's jockstrap. He's the 3rd best receiver. If you're listing receivers, he's the 3rd best receiver if you're listing A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and Ayuk. Like you're putting him over any of those 2 guys. There's just no fucking way. So the talent, you have the spread, and you have Deebo Samuel, but he's injured constantly. And before this game, there were defensive players, several, that had more touchdowns than he did. You know what I mean? So he may have had a big stat blow up on this one, but they targeted one guy, and it was one game, and they had a blowout. If they were really, truly that talented, they would not be losing the games that they have already lost already. And they did that without almost regard to injury, except for Deebo Samuel, but they got their shit kicked in, and Brock Purdy could barely get over 100 yards without having a fast guy to throw the ball to behind the line of scrimmage.
Perfectly valid. That's say about us.
Yeah, sure, but we're 10-2, man. We're
right. Agreed. I'm with you. We are 10-2, and we beat some very, very fucking good teams. We beat Dallas. We beat Kansas City. We punched Buffalo Bills in the mouth. I get that. That's not even an argument. But
curb stomp the Dolphins.
Right. But we always know that, the NFL typically puts the cart before the horse when it comes to this shit. They put these rankings out, and they have their expectations as to how things are going to go based off of the talent on the teams. and there's perceptions and things that are developed. They have their power rankings. They play this fucking stupid game that they do. And then obviously the media doesn't fucking help. Everybody's
Right.
Everybody's sucking Dallas Cowboys dick 6 ways from Sunday. They have them pegged right now as the number one team in the NFC because
I
of
love it.
whatever the fuck it is. However, this game is one of the ones that it pains me to see how badly it was we lost. It'd be one thing if we lost. It's the nature and the way that we did it that I think is bothering me the most with this, and this is the most heated I've been with this fucking team all year. I mean, this is the one thing that I can't seem to get over because they are. There was no reason for these guys to lose 6 straight possessions that resulted in touchdowns, 456 fucking yards. I mean, that's that stat line is astronomical.
Yeah.
That was basically just saying like, the defense is a fucking sieve. Have at it. We'll put some bodies out there. It's like doing the Madden drills in the beginning of the game when you first buy it, and they have you do the training drills to teach you how to play. Like that's exactly what this fucking seemed like to me. They were not. They were a non-factor in this game. This defense completely was a non-factor.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, the defense is totally fucked. And looking offensively, like you look at the 49ers as a whole, right? If you're, comparing apples to oranges or whatever, they put up 17 points against the Browns, right? Without Deshaun Watson, without Nick Chubb, Amari Cooper sitting the game. They put up.
Chubb is a big omission from that.
Yeah, and he got abs and all those guys. I mean, that's their best 3 players, right? They have on offense. They had the ball a billion times. They put up 17 points. They put up 17 points against the Bengals, right? The 49ers.
The Niners are the ultimate. They got 2 teams. They either blow out teams or they lose. There's no close game coming in.
Yeah, and they won and they did all these things, right? But we're talking about losing to the Vikings. We're talking about losing to the Bengals. Talking about losing to the Browns. All right? Those are not good teams. They're not good teams, right? Even the Bengals were in their toughest stretch of the season. They were barely hanging on to their season at the time that they played them. And so I would, I guess, make the argument just for optimism, even though it's about as pissed off, I think, as I could have possibly been watching it, is that there is a far greater chance that a game like this never happens again this year than there is that, we go back to the ways that we're winning and they go back to the ways that they're winning, et cetera, and we probably meet them again in the playoffs. I think it probably will be the 49ers in the playoffs.
It's the NFC Championship game. I mean, if we're going to cut down the brass tacks here, it's going to be the NFC Championship game. Is these 2 guys? Now, that's barring any setbacks, because Dallas has just as much of a tough stretch down going into the end of the season as the Eagles kind of did.
They're finally playing some winning teams,
right? But based off of what we looked like, and based off of what teams have been able to observe, based off of what we put out there, I'm not optimistic in regards to how it is that we change things up, because we haven't. Even against the Jets, things have not changed from when we lost to the Jets. It's very much stereotypical of what we've been doing up until this point. So the fact that we've come out with some of these very close wins, but we're getting ready to go and play Dallas again. I'd be remiss in saying that the 49ers, or the film from the 49ers game, is not going to be reviewed to excess to try and capitalize on the exact things that were right. I mean, the only real difference that our team has at this point is, okay, we got Dallas Goedert on the offensive side of the ball, and we have Shaq Leonard on the defensive side. do we consider Shaq Leonard to be the X factor to this defense going into the game in Dallas right now?
Not with 7 days.
I think the Shaq Leonard signing prior to this Dallas game was a fucking psyche move if I ever saw one. Because it was like he went and visited Dallas, and they were like, "Okay, well, we'll sign him right before we have to play you guys again." Shove it up your ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think X Factor doesn't have to mean exactly MVP takeover type of game. Does he have enough athletically, and he passed 2 physicals in Philly, right, and all the conditioning drills and all these things too, that he's up to speed that way. Clearly the defensive playbook can't be that fucking complicated, right? So what are we talking about here, right? Can he get up to speed, man? Can he make some decisions himself, right? In there in the middle? Get it fucking figured out. Can he take away the obvious glaring hole and give you a stopgap? Even middle of the road performance would give teams something different to think about. And I think the answer to that is yes. I don't know how 100% healthy he is or whatever, but I do know he's one of one or 3 players or something with like 10 picks and 10 sacks, 10 forced fumbles. He's all over the field. He's a high IQ, high motor type of guy, right? All those generic things you say to make yourself feel better. But he's a good fucking football player. He knows his shit, and he will make someone think. He will make them think twice. I mean, there's a reason Dallas wanted him for this, for the same instance, right, to fill their linebacking hole. And I don't know. Is he an X factor that can change the game? I think he is, because he will change the way you're going to approach the game. And San Fran, to your credit, Matt, was using the film that Dallas provided to him. And now Dallas is going to be piggybacking off their own fucking success. It's very, very, very hard. I mean, we were in control of that Dallas game for a long time. And we really were in control of that, and we had the ability to really put our foot down on the gas and take some sort of commanding lead, and we never did. And that's been our identity for the last 2 years. So is that going to change because of Dallas Goedert? No, but if you look at the stats with and without Goedert, both run game and passing game, they're markedly different and almost 30 percentile in every direction. So do I think those 2 guys make a difference? Yeah, I think it's astronomical and can't be. I mean, you saw how our offense has sputtered without Goedert. It was one of the first things we said today is you got to have a fucking tight end to make it. I would draft one first round if they were
Brian Johnson brilliantly said today that he noticed since Goddard went down that they've been doubling AJ Brown more. That was his huge takeaway from everything that happened. Fucking good job, Brian Johnson. That's your huge takeaway from the last 3 weeks. Fucking clown.
Got it.
Fucking just don't say anything at all before you say something that fucking stupid. Like, you knew that was what?
Yeah.
I will say too, an underrated or underreported type of thing has been the amount of pressures. And I know he had a ton of time this last game, but I do think that we're talking maybe 8 weeks ago, and Tommy, you said he doesn't look comfortable. Jalen doesn't look comfortable back there. He's rolling out too quick. We talked about, right? Doesn't look comfortable, doesn't look set, doesn't look settled. And when he does look set and settled, he's dropping fucking dimes into the back of the end zone where no one should be able to catch it, right? But I think you get to a point where you get conditioned, and the Eagles are among the worst teams this year, among the absolute worst for sure, bottom third, and allowing quarterback pressures. And if you're going to continuously allow pressure and you're going to continuously let your quarterback be uncomfortable, he's not going to see the field well. None of us are, man. I don't know if you guys ever played football, but when you get hit by somebody, and you get your bell rung a couple times, it takes its toll. And it feels like that knee injury is just absolutely, it's not the pain, it's the fear a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I won't go so much in it, but how many of those pressures has he ran into himself? There's been, I don't know how many times I've watched him just roll out earlier, like Tom said earlier, roll out just to shorten the field, to shorten his vision. And it's like, oh, now he runs into the guy that Lane Johnson was pushing back behind him instead of stepping up into the pocket. He rolls out, and it's like, oh, guy's right in my face. Or I trip over, my lineman's foot, right?
He does do it to himself sometimes. He really does.
Yep.
the pressure has been more let up by the offensive line. I will agree with that. It has been more, but it's not the sole purpose. Like I'd say almost 50% of those are
No.
probably him running into guys.
Yeah,
And
I'm
it's
just
just
saying. I'm just saying this line does not look like it did last
No.
year,
Uh-uh.
and it has nothing to do with Sayamalu, who has been benched like 1,000 times in Pittsburgh already,
Yeah.
and it has certainly nothing to do with Andre Dillard. Dillard, right? Yeah.
No, but the NFL is always evolving. So they saw last year what happens, and then they change it up. We've seen it this year so far in just what they have done with Hurts. On him, you eventually catch up, and Hurts has to keep evolving like he has been sometimes. But it's like he also regresses at the same time, and I don't know if it's the coach or if it's him or if he's not put in the best position. Like I don't know what it is. I keep going back to it because if you coach long enough or you coach in general, you put your guys in the best position. You know what I mean? So if
He's got
if
the
you
he's
have a
got the
Christian
goods.
McCaffrey, yeah, if you got a Christian McCaffrey, you're not going to throw the ball 45 times. You're gonna give him 20 carries a game, which they do, and he touches the ball 25 times every single game. So I'm not saying that DeAndre Swift is Christian McCaffrey because he's not, but 6 carries is fucking insane.
Yeah, and I didn't even think Christian McCaffrey had a real impact on the game. Not really. I didn't think he needed to. It just seemed like they had everything they wanted inside, just like you said for the Cowboys game. And you look at the same instances over and over again. You just go, what are you going to change? And figure out like you got to get home with pass rush. You got to protect your quarterback, like all the basic shit about football. But God, would it kill him on fucking some of those quarterback draws? Just one time for him to hike it, fake the draw forward, and then step back for a pass. Just once. Just fucking one time to make you said about running, like keep running so they think they're going to be a chance to run. Do some things out of that. They started to expand with the tush push and all this bullshit. Hate every name for it. It's a quarterback sneak if I've ever seen one, but they started doing other stuff and doing end arounds, whatever, getting a little more clever, and it worked, right? So what are we doing? Like we just need some fucking creativity on both sides of the ball. And if your defense isn't going to do it, man, like at least set it up where you're not allowing just gutting plays. The runs after the catch and we're lined up 15 yards off on a 3rd and 13. I'll never understand. Or you know what I mean? Vice versa on a 3rd and 15. God damn.
And it was the first thing that I noticed, especially when I go back to that Ayuk catch is 2nd and 19. I'm just watching Slay and I'm like, why is he 12 yards off already? Like, so you're okay with giving them 3rd and 5, which Buffalo just murdered you on the week before.
Right, and that's
we're the worst 3rd down team I've ever seen, honestly.
Yeah, I think teams would rather be in 3rd down against them because it's just like
and 3 of them were fucking.
And 2 of those 3rd downs were 2 of those first downs or 3rd downs that they didn't get were the first 2 drives of the fucking football game.
Right, it was plus 15 fucking yards. I don't fucking get it. I don't get it.
And speaking of that, and you just reminded me of a 3rd and 15. I will give it to Devontae Smith as well. When he got that 3rd and 21 and they gave him a fucking little bubble screen and he broke those tackles at 145 pounds of what he is and muscled his way across for this team to only give the ball right back to him because they have no balls whatsoever that game. Like, you got to be out there like, what the fuck am I breaking my back for if these guys just aren't even remotely even look like they're trying? And so
to quote Tommy, I don't get it.
Yeah, and it started from the very beginning of the game. This Bradbury, Deebo Samuel thing going on all season. Deebo called him trash, and like you said, Bradbury has nothing to say ever about anybody or anything. Quiet as could be. And Deebo's just going at him, and then in the pregame, you have an entire 49ers team surrounding Bradbury by himself, and they're bumping him and doing everything else, and you have your entire Eagles team right next to him that just does nothing. They just sit there and let it happen. And I'm like, I'm not saying go in there, start swinging helmets and fighting people, but I'm like, let's get into a little shoving match and let's not let them surround
Fuck
your
it, man.
guy.
Everybody
Yeah.
hit somebody. Scream it and run in there, and everybody fucking love it.
They're
Kill
not throwing
yourself
everybody
on.
out of the game. They're not
Yeah.
throwing everybody out. We're good.
That's it.
Everybody hit somebody.
That's it. That's it. Quick! Can we get a timeout? You know, Shasta Cola, and then they just start beating the shit. Like sometimes you got to go in there and you got to make a point. Now I don't want to hurt anybody, and not like Matt's advocating for injury. But you know, and I know Tommy wants people's livelihoods ruined too. But what I am saying is, like you said, Matt, that's disenfranchising, man, and that's telling when you're looking at your team as a whole. You look like you said when they bumped into Dom and all this crap happened. You thought. I thought this is the worst thing they could have done. It was the worst outcome of the situation. I can't think of anybody more revered
Because the
in
game was still
Philadelphia.
close enough. It was a 21-6 game. You go in, it's 21-13. It's a one-score game, and it's a brand new ball game, and they just laid down.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, it was
Laid down.
they coming out of. Would you say it happened after the second quarter? When we started that second quarter, and then Christian McCaffrey broke that pretty significant run. I think it was like for like 23 yards, something like that. Would you say it happened then, or do you just consider it to have happened at halftime?
When for what? For the Niners like takeover?
At what point do you consider the Eagles to have looked flat? Because I kind of it to happen second quarter when Jalen went down. When he slipped, I thought that was fucking it. I was like, okay.
And the moment Sweat lined up offside on a third down to give them a touchdown. It's so backbreaking of you finally get this team a stop for the third time and you're going to be up 6-3 and now they get another chance and now it's 7-6. And then they went on to score 5 more touchdowns.
I mean, and there's a lot of troubling shit on offense, but like to your point, Matt, like unless our offense came out and we were the greatest fucking show on turf, it didn't matter anyway.
Yeah.
Not on offense. And so like that's why I always say, like, I don't know, it's like, hey, you left the radio on inside while your house is burning down. Like, who gives a fuck? You know what I'm saying? Like, who fucking cares? Like, our offense has got some stuff, but they've shown they can come back. They've shown, they can do some stuff. But on defense, I've seen nothing basically but a even flat trajectory. Not even downward, just listlessness. There's no identity. There's no spark. There's no fucking. They're just a bunch of monkeys fucking a football, dude. And I don't know what to do about it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what are they saying? Replacements. I've seen monkey shit fights at the zoo more organized than this. Like, you're watching guys in your corners give up. You tell me in that game, Bradbury and Slay give up three receptions for 33 yards. I'm like, holy fuck! Like, we are in business. All right, like our corners came to play. We've shut down the outside. Our run defense is practically infallible. I just think too there should be some consideration given to this is the NFL. I'm not trying to cop anybody out. I'm not trying to ruin anyone's day or anything, Tommy. But what I will say is we're all looking for the guy who did this. And sometimes in the NFL, you just get your ass beat. And that just happens. I mean, the 49ers, like, that's why I brought that up. Like, they lost to the fucking Browns. They lost to the Vikings. Man, these are not world beaters, whatever. And Purdy had a fucking terrible passer rating. He was god-awful. Shit happens. And in this game, it just felt like as soon as Jalen slipped on that fucking banana peel in the back, like that's what it reminded me of, the old school Donkey Kong or whatever, and he slips, it just felt like if you can't get a touchdown here, you're fucked. What's that?
Said fucking Mario Kart.
Fucking Mario Kart. Goddamn Princess Peach.
Yeah.
Uptight bitch.
He got fucking green chilled.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you, Carrington, but my other thing is like once in a while you just get taken to the woodshed, and it is what it is. But this has been 5 weeks coming, and we've been scared, and they've been winning, and I will give them for winning these close games against very, very good teams.
Right.
But after every game, we haven't played our best game. We're gonna clean up and come back next week. It's the same shit.
And
It's the same shit.
I'm fucking tired.
and then it's
I'm
the
tired
next
of
week. Oh,
Right.
like this is Andy Reid at the fucking podium. I gotta do a better job getting my team ready for this. I'm like, all right, can we get let's get some real shit? And I understand you're not gonna come out and be like, yeah, we suck on defense. It's never gonna happen. But
The defense
let's
fucking
be real a
fucked
little
us, he
bit.
says.
Oh my god, yeah, exactly.
But let me ask you guys a question though, and like let me phrase this totally differently. You're gonna have to actually try to like go outside of how shitty we all feel right now. If you looked back at this at the last 5 games, and I told you we are 4-1, and we get our absolute teeth kicked in, and I don't tell you who, but we lose a game by 5 points. How are you happy or satiated with that?
No, I was gonna bring that up right before I started on my little rant there, because like you said, if you would have told me we would have been 5-1 through these games, I'd have told you that you're a liar. And been honest with it, just because of the teams that we were playing. But it's not good by the way that they've been playing. Is kind of where I'm at, because in the playoffs we're not going to be able to play the Falcons coming in. You know, we have these good things, and I just don't trust the defense that we have coming in to be able to make that key stop almost for the most part.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm just there, and it's just, you know, we have this phenomenal pass rush. We have the guys to get home. We get pressures nonstop, but offensive coordinators are like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to throw 5-yard ends, and we're going to get the ball out because they can't cover it. And it's just first down after first down after first down. And you could have prime Javon Curse out there, and he's not going to get to the quarter unless somebody just totally misses a block. The ball's out before they even have a chance to even start getting around the corner. And that's where Desai has to get his guys in place to be able, whether that is bringing in Sidney Brown as a third safety and letting him kind of roam around, or you at the middle of the field, because he's about the only one that has the speed to keep up with any of these guys, because Morris sure the hell doesn't.
No.
You know what I mean? So it's just like it's just frustrating. And I get where you're at with that question, and it was a very good question, because you're right. If you would have told me that we'd be this and we lose one game by 30, I'd be like, I'll take that all day long. But it's just like, I don't trust. I think they go in, and it's not me being a Cowboy hater. I think they're putting their fucking big boy pants on. They have to, because they know the Seattle game isn't a guaranteed win going into Seattle with these guys getting healthy. They've shown the last 2 matchups that they can't cover DK Metcalf. It doesn't matter who's on them. You know what I mean? And then you got Kenny Walker coming in, and it's like, do we run the football? Because I would like to see us come in the Dallas game and run the ball 35 fucking times. And like, you know what? We're just not going to let your offense on the field this entire game because we can't stop it.
Yeah, I mean, we need to get Jalen. We need to get him out of that game healthy. But like, let's say you drop the Dallas game. You still have, you know, if you win out, obviously it's not nothing's a guarantee in the NFL. But if you win out, you're still, the likelihood you're the number 1 seed is pretty damn good, right? Still, almost no matter what. I don't want to say no matter what, but as long as you win every other game but Dallas, but you beat Dallas. I mean, to me, like you say, you put your big boy pants on, you go in there and do, like, to me, the Eagles' identity was, we know our defense is mid as fuck, and now I know it's not mid, it's just fucking terrible. And but with the pieces, I just feel like it's there. Like everything, it feels like a Rubik's Cube to me. And I just know it's gonna click, man. Maybe that's the eternal optimist in me, or maybe that's the logical side of me that goes, 10 other teams couldn't figure it out, right? You know, we've done this 10 other times, and Dallas is the second coming of Jesus, and, you know, we beat them. You know what I mean? And we're going to like the Bills and all these other great teams that are going to wipe us out, and we're surviving one of the harder schedules I've ever seen. I mean, for any team. But at some point, you have to take a step forward if you want to win a championship. Go back to your identity of controlling the ball, control the fucking clock, man. Like we used to do that even earlier this year. We went on great long drives where we were not in any type of hurry to prove shit to anybody. And now all of a sudden it's like we have to throw the ball. That our 2 losses, Hurts is throwing the ball 50 fucking times. Got him pissed off all over again.
When you throw the ball 50 times, it's never a good spell. And I don't care who the quarterback is, because it's not a good idea.
Agree.
So that's where I was going back with. I mean, obviously they're not going to run the ball 35 times, but I want to see Swift get 20 carries on Sunday night. And I don't care if he ends up with 60 yards. You know what I mean? But eventually he's going to break one. We still have one of the best offensive lines in football. And running the football just opens up the playbook with everything else that we saw on Sunday night. With the Niners, they came out 6 straight pass plays, 3 and out. Like, all right, well, let's get McCaffrey running, and it was game over. We couldn't stop anything now.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, I'm. Your question, Carrington. It's the 4-1 is huge. But these were, and we've called them ugly wins every fucking week. Okay, they've been ugly wins, and then we get punched in the mouth by a team that is superior to us in regards to holistic talent, especially on the defensive side of the ball. They had the ability, and they had our fucking number from the jump. And my concern, absolutely, because I think what they did was that they exposed exactly what this team is that we thought they were. We're not built up enough defensively to be able to compete with some of these premier talents that we have. The 49ers are built well. They're built with the intent of basically beating us this year to get to the Super Bowl. That's exactly what that fucking team is built for. They signed the guys that they did because they knew what the Eagles were going to have coming into this, and they knew that the Eagles were going to be the team that they were going to have to compete against. That's exactly how this team was built. The AFC is kind of the they're in a weird spot. I think everybody came into this thinking the Chiefs were going to be this juggernaut of a team that they were last year, and in all actuality, Kansas City could not be further from it. I mean, they are finding ways to lose to some pretty fucking abysmal teams, to be honest with you. So Kansas City is not all that they are cracked up to be. The AFC is open to everyone at this point. It's just a matter of,
especially with Lawrence.
Right, like who wants to? Right, like Trevor went down last night. Like I mean, like this shit is it's fucking wide. Like, who the fucking thought that C.J. Stroud would end up being potentially the guy that's going to carry the fucking Texans through his first playoff series? Like nobody had that shit pegged. D'Amico Ryan and fucking C.J. Stroud. Like who had that? But it's speaking to how unpredictable the NFL is, especially when the AFC they're losing quarterbacks like fucking crazy. Burrow being out, Trevor Lawrence going out, Mahomes, he's still active, but Kansas City Chiefs they're nothing to write home about, and fucking Aaron Rodgers is about to come back at the end of the week. Like if you'd have told me that this was the script that was going to be published, I'd have called you fucking crazy. So like it's just this is one of them things that the Eagles are going to control their own destiny at this point. They need to capitalize on the opportunities that they're being provided. We have some shit teams that we get to play at the end of the year that benefit us in the ability of being able to determine our record holistically at the end of the year. However, we got teams punching at the door. You got the 49ers, you got the Cowboys. there's a very good possibility that we don't end up coming out of this with the division title, and it's not going to matter whether or not we're fucking competing with the 49ers or not for the top record in the division. It's a tough pill. It's a tough pill to swallow, but we need to figure this shit out. This is not. We don't have the luxury of being able to sit back and continuing to let this, stew. And I think Nick Sirianni has passed this message along. He's very adamant about let this one go. We move on to the next one and doing all that. However, the demoralizing nature of what this loss was, coming out of it 4-1 is one thing. But if it was 4-1 and we lost by 3 points, I'd be like, okay, we're in a good spot. It's the demoralizing loss in the sense that we got our teeth fucking kicked in, and we ended up coming out of this exactly how we thought we were going to. And it sucks, but we need to come to the realization that this team needs to become a lot more resilient than I think that they have been in the past.
Yeah, I mean, it just looks so fucking hard on offense to me. Like, it looks too hard for what we have going on. It looks uncomfortable. It looks weird. There's no consistency. As soon as they're doing stuff that works, it's like the ego kicks back in, and you're just doing bullshit. So to me, why is it so fucking hard on offense when you have the skill players that you have, when you have the people that you have? I don't get it. It just shouldn't be this fucking complicated, man. Like,
and I think that's and that's why I think it goes back into is Brian Johnson does not put his guys in position to succeed on what they do best. There's no other. Your two best receivers in the NFL with the ball in their hand after the catch is going to be A.J. Brown and Deebo Samuel. The Niners are excellent at getting Deebo in 5-yard routes, full sprint, getting the ball in his hands because he's like a running back trying to tackle him going full speed. I'm sure it's not fun. We saw in the first drive on how it was with A.J. Brown. Niners looked like they didn't want to tackle him going across the middle coming in. They let him run for 35 yards. Same thing with Devontae Smith. Let him use his speed. And coming in, he is sneaky fast. But they just don't allow them. They're not put in positions to succeed. And like Seth Joyner said the other night, if in the first couple drives, if they're not running the football with 30-yard gains, they abandon a run. And they become so one-dimensional, it's not even funny. And it's just why?
Looks like me doing fucking algebra, man. Too fucking complicated. I have no plate. I have no clue where to start. Just get it together. Make it brain dead if you have to make it brain dead, and if it's going to be predictable, at least make it consistent and advantageous. With the runs, but like the starting the game and you throw 3 passes. You do it like it just. I don't understand what are you seeing that everybody else on the fucking planet is going. Run the ball, control the clock, do these short out routes, use Devonta's sneaky speed, like you said, get A.J. Brown in one-on-one situations. And if he can't do it, put fucking Julio in there if you have to on the outside to take up one of the corners and put A.J. Brown on the inside, shift Devonta. Do something, man. Do something.
We clearly have the too.
Put Devonta in the slot. Yeah.
Right. AJ fucking did it in that whole first 2 series. AJ Brown was coming across. They did it 5 fucking times in a row. AJ Brown was wide open coming across the middle. So they know it works. And then when it doesn't, you switch to play action and then you fucking do it again anyway.
Right.
And play action isn't going to help you when you don't fucking run the football.
But you ain't running.
Hand off all you want. Nobody's moving.
I think what it comes down to is that even though I feel like on offense, we have every piece we need to be elite.
Damn.
We have every piece we need to be elite. Harrison writes, Pollard will be selling homeowners insurance, and he is not wrong, at least in a couple of years. It's only a few minutes before you see that guy selling Ginsu knives door to door, but
Oh, yeah.
To me, man, like, I see we have all the pieces. I've seen Jalen make all of the throws. It would be one thing if he couldn't make the throws or he didn't have the physical ability. But we have the people, as they say, we have the technology, right? $6 million man, right? And we have the engine. We have the running back. We were missing the pass catching ability. It's too clever and too complicated. So oftentimes it just feels like we're focused on feeding a narrative of, getting AJ Brown a record, it's Devonta's turn and getting him, instead of just going out there and just slinging the fucking rock, man, to open people. And that's what bothers me the most, is that I feel like we can be elite on offense, a 1 of 1 or a 1 of 2 with Mahomes and Kansas City, who are struggling too. I feel like we can be a top 2 offense. And that's why when I look at Brock Purdy and I think about the Niners talent, I'm like, fuck all that, man. I'm all about recognizing it's not sour grapes. We beat this team like a fucking hammer too, right?
Yeah.
Stuff happens. And it was not going well for him before Purdy went out, right? So, we have all the talent in the world to go out there and absolutely demolish and be a top flight offense. It just looks too fucking hard. It looks uncomfortable, and it just looks like janky. I mean, it just looks like we're not 100% sure what we're doing.
Yeah. Boys, we've been doing this for 2 hours and 15 minutes, and we haven't gotten into the last segment yet. So let's go ahead and roll into Hit 'em Low, Hit 'em High.
Hit 'em Low, Hit 'em High is brought to you by Diet Smoke. For the best Delta 8 gummies, use code OCSN for 15% off your first order at dietsmoke.com. Man, if you weren't convinced to be for that pitch guy, he's got me sold. I'm just saying, like, I'm going to not walk, I'm going to run. Unlike our secondary and linebackers, I'm going to run and go get myself some Delta 8 gummies. I'm telling you. None for you, Tommy.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it, bud.
We can't let that happen. So I'm going to briefly touch MVP odds, even though it's one of my favorite segments, because I'm fucking mad about it. All right, Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy is 350 on the MVP odds. What it is for me is it's disenfranchising, man. And like, I'm not going to delve into like some socio-political stuff real quick, but not going to let it happen. But I'm telling you, there's some reason why it takes Jalen Hurts putting up very similar and better numbers and more touchdowns all fucking season to get to the top of the MVP ladder. And then Brock Purdy can be plus 2,500 and suddenly he's right behind him. And I don't know what the reason is, but if we could, do some research into that and get back to me, I would appreciate that. So Brock Purdy sitting at 350. I don't know. I'm pissed.
Yeah, so I've seen a couple of them where he's ahead of Hurts. That Brock Purdy is now the favorite, is what I've seen. And I'm like,
yeah.
So the guy throwing 8-yard passes is now the MVP. Got it.
I mean, Tyreek Hill was on track and he's up to plus 1,400. He is on track to be the first 2,000-yard receiver and really doesn't even have to do a lot to get it. I mean, I think he needs like 450-something yards or something dumb. And we're going to give it down to this fucking check down merchant, dude. I mean, they lost 3 games in a row. We've lost 5 games since the start of 2022. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't understand what it is, but Dak Regress Scott in some of the polls too is also leading. He's at plus 300. Purdy's at 350. Hurts is still at 350 in most polls, although there are some that have Purdy up at like 280 as the leader.
Yeah.
Mahomes is at plus 700.
Yeah, I think this last Sunday night game, barring him throwing 45 touchdowns the last couple of weeks, I think pretty much marked Mahomes not in this MVP race.
I don't know, man. I don't know. The dick riding is hard and it's long, and I don't know. I think you're right, but holy crap. It's just amazing how Hurts is. It takes him forever to get into first place, and then all of a sudden he's, riding back seat to Brock Purdy.
Yeah.
Nonsense.
I mean, I think a lot of it it does stem from this game. I think ultimately what's going to end up being the determination is obviously going to be whoever it is that comes out with this NFC championship, whoever comes out with the number one seed in the NFC. Clearly the top three guys are at the top at this point. So that's what this shit's boiling down to. This isn't even this contest is it's honestly a fucking joke. I don't even know why we do this shit anymore. It's fucking so subjective and kind of a little it gets a little bullshit to be honest with you. But
It is.
you know,
Could you imagine Jalen Hurts' odds if he lost 3 games in a row earlier this season?
No, because I wouldn't be able to fucking find him on the map, man. I'd have to scroll over to page 18.
So, in my mind, it's like, all right. So, what was different during that 3-game losing streak? Because Trent Williams was out. So it's like, all right. So now is Trent Williams your MVP? No, you're not going to give it to an offensive lineman. You know what I mean? So it's like going on and if you throw a total of 8 yards in the air and you come out with 200 passing yards because of yards after the catch, you're not the MVP. I don't know what to tell you about it.
No, and I'll give you all the credit for continuity and success and all the things you're doing
100%.
and whatever. But
Yeah.
you lost to the Browns and the Vikings in back-to-back weeks, man. That's some level of bullshit.
Yeah.
So just looking at early lines, so the Cowboys, as you know, we figured they're favored by 3.5. It's actually a pretty similar line as it was when the Cowboys played us. Basically, just the home team getting the favorite, which is pretty much when they consider it a push. The over/under is 52.
Over.
So,
yeah.
I think the Eagles are gonna really come out and put a fucking clock management show on. That's my only drawback to that, but also that's what I want to have happen. So what probably will happen is like a 70-60 game because fucking
Trust me, I would love to be. I'm right there with you. I want them to come out and have a clock management game. I don't care if we win this game 7-3. I could care less. Just win, but they're not going to. And nothing they have done this year, besides the first couple of games, has not shown me that. So I will take the over on that game in a heartbeat.
So what constitutes success for you guys when we're looking forward to this Dallas game? Not just winning. It's clearly not just winning. Like I mean, I'll take that all day. Trust me. We're not in a position to turn down wins, but what tells you that game was a blip on the radar? That 49ers game was an anomaly.
I want to see the defense come out and actually have a game where they hold a quarterback to a significantly low number amount of yards. And I'm not saying that they need to shut him down completely and hold him to 150 fucking yards. I'm saying hold this dude to under 250 yards and 2 touchdowns. Do something like that and give your offense the opportunity to be able to fucking come out and put points on the fucking board. I'm not asking for this complete shutdown fucking game at all. That's not it's unrealistic and honestly fucking stupid to think that a defense is going to do it week in and week out. I want these guys to come out and look like they know what they're doing because they clearly didn't fucking look like they knew what they were doing in this last one. And that's what it boils down to for me.
Yep.
I think just make the other team earn it and stop giving them such easy and free yards. You know what I mean? If you're one-on-one with somebody and you have good coverage and a good throw beats you, there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. You know what I mean? But if you're being beat by 4 yards and they're wide open or you have a guy running free through the back of the end zone because Blankenship and Byard don't know who to cover and when to switch off on somebody and who has what guy and who's doing this. It's like all right, we are way past that with playing. I want to see the first 2 drives of the football game from the San Francisco game, and I'm not saying shut out Dallas because it's not going to happen.
but take away the middle of the football field. You pay your two corners top dollar to come in and do their thing. Make them earn their money. Make them throw the ball to the outside the numbers. You know what I mean? They're not gonna line CD up 75% of the time outside. He's gonna be in the slot on your linebackers and safety, which he absolutely torched last time. Take away the middle of the football field is what it is, and then put Hurts in a position to get the ball out of his hand quick. Whether that's running the football, whether it's getting AJ Brown, on rub routes and try to get these one-on-ones, to get your tight ends involved. If Goddard even doesn't play, get your tight ends involved. Get them out there in 3-4 yard outs. I don't even care at this point, but the tight end position is just invisible without Goddard there. And it was invisible with Goddard there half the time as well. So it's like, I don't even know why the hell we even have a tight end out there half the time.
Yeah, I feel like we do so much better when even with having multiple tight ends, having Ertz out there, whatever, putting Ertz out there in like a big slot type of situation and having the one tight end allows you to run the ball effectively and but when we're running out of shotgun, it just felt like teams couldn't commit to the box as much. And even if a linebacker were committing in there, we're doing great. And that's why we kind of fall in love with the pass a little bit. But like, run game is boring. It's supposed to be boring, man. You're just supposed to, as I say, the offensive linemen lathered up and just supposed to be knocking people. We got to get back to the point where our offensive line is an overwhelming strength based off of all the fucking resources we've invested in it. Like Tommy said, like we've invested so much into it. Like that's great. And defensive line too. But once those stop being a dominant, overwhelming strength, like now all that capital you put into it's a liability. So I don't know. That's basically all I have. I mean, it's just a very frustrating week.
And I just get back to, I just looked here. Swift is fourth in the league in rushing. He's not out a third by much behind Mostert. But I'm just like, we haven't ran the ball effectively in the last 3 or 4 weeks. Imagine where we would be at if we just continued rushing the football. He would have over 1,000 yards and probably be leading the league in rushing right now if he even just gained a third of what would have. So it's like just the inability to absolutely go away from the rush, it boggles my mind.
The flag just fell the rest of the way, boys. So I think that might actually be the end of the show.
That's
That
the
definitely
sound.
is. See you guys.
This was a long one, boys. We went 2 hours and 30 something fucking minutes here. So, Birds the Word is brought to you by Old City Sports. Be sure to check us out on Facebook at Birds the Word and Old City Sports. Also, check us out on Twitter at Birds the Word 57. Check us out our individual Twitter handles below our pictures here, and you can also check out the Old City Sports Twitter as well at spelled OLDE_sport. Also check us out on Instagram at Birdsword57 as well. Gentlemen, it's Cowboys week.
Fuck Dallas.
Fuck Dallas. It's good. Yeah, I'm under the same sentiment. But rough one this week. We've been very critical of these guys. But page turns. We move on to the next one, and we look to get after this again. So I hope to God that these guys are going to punch Dallas in the mouth and ain't got anything to worry about. And we take the number one spot in the division and the number one spot in the NFC, and we go from there. But
Go Seattle.
Yeah, no shit, right?
Yeah.
Whoever thought. I actually do think I might have a potential guest for us on the Seattle front, to come on, and she's a Seattle fan. She's pretty good on the subject, and she said she was willing and able to take the abuse. So she talks a lot of shit though. So
she'll fit right in there, so it'll be good.
Yeah. So she'll definitely fit in. She's just going to be a one-man team in that regard. So we'll have to be gentle in that regard.
I'll be devil's advocate. I'll be on her team. I'll just have to really spend some time focusing on what it's like to light such a shitty piece of shit fucking franchise.
Yeah.
Also,
I'll get zen with it. I'm a team player.
Ndamukong and Sue will be signing soon with a contending team, and the Eagles are high up on his list. So we might be see Sue in the Eagles uniform again, and I would welcome him back right now with open arms with everything going on.
You ain't
Fuck
fucking
yeah.
lying. No bullshit.
I'd take him as a fucking place kicker, man. That guy is awesome.
Yeah. No, I'm
Talk about
totally
standing
for
on business. He'll stand on your fucking back of your head.
Yeah, he will.
All right.
I'm done.
We'll go ahead and call
That's
it
enough,
a night.
Tommy. Wrap it up.
Yeah, I know, right? Fucking 2 hours and 31 minutes. All right. We'll check out with you guys a little later on this week. Maybe potentially do a pregame. Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. We might have did that enough for everybody. We'll check in with you guys later this week. All right.
Everybody's done
That
looking
will-
at our ugly mugs the rest of the week.
Go
Yeah.
Birds.
Go ahead and call it a night. Go Birds.
Fuck
Thanks for all
Bells.
the questions, guys. Go Birds. Fuck you, Dallas. GLES.